Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. So we talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Roche Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Week 9 of the college football season is practically in the books, folks. And even though we got Colorado, Utah on, I don't really think anybody necessarily is giving too much of a crap about that game outside of Utah fans. That game looks like it's already over. So we're basically done with week 9. What a week it was. Some upsets occurred, but overall, the big-time matchups, I would say, mostly went the way that people thought. Not all of them, but most of them did. Still some crazy results, though, sprinkled in there. And, yeah, I can't wait to get into all these games. Can't wait to talk about all the storylines going around college football right now, and there are plenty of them. Definitely will have the phone line opened up a little bit later in the show for you guys to come on and discuss what happened this week of college football for sure. I definitely will do that. I don't want to be live till 3, 4 a.m., but, you never know what's going to happen on these shows. You never know. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you guys so much in the chat. And we've already got Scotty B in here, Kate in the Diesel Freak, Hummus Hero, Steven Cherry. Definitely already got a good crowd. Appreciate you guys so much. But definitely want to start out the show with Indiana again with another beatdown of UCLA. You might remember UCLA. They might upset Indiana. Do people remember that? I do. UCLA is going to win out and make the Big Ten championship game or whatever. I heard a lot of people saying that. Obviously, I think a lot of people were joking around. I thought this game would be a lot closer. I thought Indiana might win by like 20. But, Prince Charming and UCLA did not deliver at all. Indiana 56-6. And Mendoza only threw for 168 yards. He had 4 total touchdowns, but Indiana dominated on the ground. They dominated on defense. Nico got destroyed all game. Indiana with a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. I'm just blown away. Indiana could go 12-0. And if Indiana does go 12-0, it'd be the first time they've ever done that in history. Just more records broken for Cignetti. But I'm not getting ahead of myself. Because even though they could go 12-0, they got some trap games left. At Maryland, at Penn State. I'm not even looking towards that. But what Indiana is doing is insane. What Kurt Cignetti is doing is insane. What the staff is doing, what these players that none of them are 5 stars are doing is insane. Indiana is a freaking juggernaut, and I can't wrap my head around it. I'm still waiting for the collapse. I'm still waiting, like will Indiana drop a game? Will Indiana, they don't have 5 stars like Ohio State and Alabama and all these other programs, Texas A&M. They don't have that. They'll lose, right? Indiana's crazy. I don't know, man. Indiana is blowing my mind. I'm thrilled. I'm so happy with Indiana. Obviously, fan of the team for a decade. Been an Alabama fan my whole life, but been an Indiana fan for a decade. They've been trashed my entire life outside of Penix. I'm just blown away, man, that Indiana is this good. I mean, I even was like, IU's going to go 9-3 this year. They're insane. Now we got Kate and the Diesel Freak coming in with a $5 super chat. This week of college football is full of crap. And Ohio State and Indiana will lose to the Buckeyes. Roll Buckeyes, roll. Well, hopefully Ohio State loses to Indiana, but we'll see. Indiana will lose to the Buckeyes. Again, I'm not there. My mind is not there on Big Ten championship game, playoffs, none of that. My mind is on week by week. I'm just savoring this right now because there's no guarantee that Indiana will be good next year and beyond. I think that with Cignetti staying at IU, and if they can keep those coordinators, that there's a really good chance that they'll be good next year. But you're not going to have the same players. You're not going to have Mendoza. You're not going to have Pons and a lot of other players that are probably going to go pro for Indiana. That's another record Indiana might break. The most draft picks they've ever had selected this year. All I know is that Indiana, whatever happens in the future, I will never forget this season and last season. Because this is incredible. This is unreal. Indiana is a freaking juggernaut. I am blown away at how good Indiana football is, and I hope it's sustainable. I think it is. I really do. I think if Cignetti will coach for the next 8 to 10 years at Indiana, if he can keep his staff maybe for the majority of that time, they're going to get good players in, because the talent evaluation that Cignetti has and his staff has is incredible to begin with. But the fact that if they keep winning like this, more good players are going to want to go to IU. You're seeing Penn State recruits wanting to go to IU, possibly. They're visiting. They're thinking about it. 4-star and 5-star guys. Now, Indiana doesn't necessarily need those guys to win because they're winning now without them. But if they can get really good players that are really talented to increase the depth of the team, I think that Indiana can legitimately compete in college football for years to come with Curt Cignetti. I really believe that. And like I said, I'm just savoring this because college football is futile, man. Yeah, it can be all taken away. IU can fall apart, and they'll be gone again. But right now, they're the second-ranked team in college football. They have a great case to be ranked number 1. They're not going to be, and that's okay. Ohio State's done nothing to deserve to get knocked off. But Indiana, Ohio State, A&M, these teams right now, I mean, Alabama, you can possibly throw in there as well. They're elite, man, this season. Just this season alone. Indiana's not normally there, but this season they are elite, and I love it. I'm so excited for Indiana. I'm blown away with what they've done. We got Caden, the Diesel Freak, saying Alabama is overrated and they'll lose in the playoffs to a Big 12 school such as BYU or Texas Tech. Well, we'll see, Caden. I don't think that's likely, but yeah, I think it's an endorsement that you say that we're gonna Alabama, we're gonna make the playoffs. That's good. But yeah, we'll see if we lose to BYU or Texas Tech. But appreciate the super chat, Caden. Appreciate the super chat. Well, let's move on to some other games. Just wanted to talk about IU right off the top. So thrilled and excited with Indiana. A&M LSU. Brian Kelly might be done because Brian Kelly is going to lose to Alabama. And LSU's out of the playoffs. They're done. I mean, obviously. Death Valley was quiet. It's not a good sign when you're in the third quarter and Death Valley is quiet. It's not a good sign when you were leading at the half and somehow you lose a game by 3-4 scores. I don't even know how that's even possible. At home. At night. At Death Valley. That is a pathetic loss for LSU. Yeah. I'm blown away. I picked Texas A&M to win. Flat out. I picked Texas A&M to win this game because I don't trust LSU. And I don't trust Brian Kelly. But I was like, you know what? It is at night. It's Death Valley. It's going to be a close game. No, they got destroyed. They got murdered. And Garrett Nussmeier did not have a great game, but he was rushed all day. All I know is LSU, a team, you take IU, and they don't have a lot of talent, and you take what Cignetti's doing over there. Brian Kelly, they got 5 stars out the yin. They supposedly built up their defense. They gave up 49 points. And I understand that Texas A&M is a good team. They are good. They are really good. Arkansas scored 42 on them. I know that was the Arkansas game. I know that this is a different game. A&M played better in this game. But I don't know, man. LSU just sucks. They suck. They have a lot of talent, but they suck. And that is a big indictment on Brian Kelly and his staff. And if things do not change very, very soon, Brian Kelly will not be the head coach at LSU any longer. We're seeing that these programs are having less patience in this NIL era. In this type of era that we're in right now, coaches are getting fired left and right very quickly. You're not safe. Your job is not safe. So, yeah, definitely Brian Kelly. His seat is hot. And if things don't turn around soon, which I highly doubt, he's definitely not going to last in Baton Rouge. Caden the Diesel Freak coming in with another $5 super chat. Appreciate it, Caden. He says, what is there to say but this week of college football was boring? Well, I mean, part of it was boring for you, Caden, because Ohio State didn't play this week. But, sometimes it's cool to have your team on a bye and see what other teams are doing around college football. But again, that's my opinion. You can have a different opinion. But y'all are celebrating like it's a big deal. Drop the link. I will drop the link. I do want to get through some of these games because once I drop the link, I'm never going to get to these games. I do want to actually have thoughts on these games. But I will drop the link really soon. Really, really soon, Kate. Definitely appreciate the super chat. Appreciate the support. But yeah, so moving on from Brian Kelly and LSU, who probably will get fired. Alabama, South Carolina. Alabama struggled in this game. Now, they started out really good, but I'm not shocked by this. Even though I did pick Alabama to win by more than this, I'm not shocked this actually occurred because of the fact we've seen under DeBoer that Alabama in these games against weak teams, they have actually not shown up. In Vandy last year, Oklahoma last year, Michigan in the bowl game, Florida State to start the season. They had the 4 straight wins over ranked teams, and that's great. But then this. And I'm grateful Alabama won because they could have lost this game. They actually had, at one point, a pretty good chance to lose this game. But they got together and they won. Now, that, to me, does show the growth and maturity of this team, that they are better than last year, that they were able to pull out this gut-wrenching win over South Carolina. But at the same time, they still didn't look that good against a team that just got beat down against Oklahoma last week. So Alabama still a little sketchy there with beating teams that aren't good. So we'll see if they can do it against Auburn late this year. Some of the other games they have the rest of the way. Alabama's not a lock for the playoffs yet because there's still a chance that they fall apart late in the season. But I still think this team's better than last year. They showed a lot of determination in this game. Ty Simpson got it together. Good couple drives to end the game. Alabama did good winning this game. But it definitely was not pretty for probably 2/3 of the game. But a win is a win. Alabama's still probably one of the 5 best teams in college football. But this win was a little shaky. But again, growth from last year that they were able to win. Oregon beating Wisconsin, they weren't that impressive, but you know what? They won. There's not a lot to say. Georgia Tech beat Syracuse. Beat them down pretty good. Cuse is bad. Ole Miss, Oklahoma. I picked Oklahoma, and it sucks because I almost picked Ole Miss, but I was like, you know what? Ole Miss lost at Georgia. You know, they're probably going to struggle, you know, to pull out a win in another tough environment. Ole Miss is a really good team. Trinidad Chambliss has been very impressive this season. No one thought he was going to be anything because Austin Simmons was the starter, and he got hurt. And then Trinidad Chambliss has come in. He's been incredible. And Ole Miss has looked great outside of the Washington State game and outside of the very end of the Georgia game. But I was like, you know what? I guess they'll lose. I wanted to pick Ole Miss, and they won. I mean, good job to Lane Kiffin. I don't know, man. I feel like the problem is with Ole Miss is that they're really good, but I still think there's just a little bit of a gap between them and the teams at the top, like A&M, Ohio State, Indiana, Alabama. If you want to throw them in there, there's a gap. People are trying to throw in Georgia again, maybe whatever. But when I look at Ole Miss, I think they're really freaking good. I think what Lane Kiffin has done there is incredible, but there's still a little bit of a gap between them and the top teams in college football. But this was a very impressive win. I mean, you can't fault this win at all. It was a good win on the road against a really good team in Oklahoma, even though Oklahoma hasn't looked as good necessarily as they had earlier in the year. But still, a very good win. This is definitely going to boost Ole Miss's chance to make the playoffs. And Ole Miss is in a situation that literally you just can't blow the rest of the season. Their schedule is very favorable down the stretch. They theoretically should win every game left on their schedule. They should go 11-1 and easily make the playoffs. But as we know with Ole Miss, they have a tendency to lose to teams they shouldn't. So they're not a lock yet for the playoffs. But right now, they're in really good shape. They have a really good chance to make the college football playoffs. And again, I'm going to repeat, even though this has nothing to do with what we're talking about necessarily, but Lane Kiffin, do not take the Florida job. Stay at Ole Miss. You've got a good thing going there. Do not leave for the Florida job. I'll say it once. I'll say it 1,000 times. Miami blew out Stanford after starting out with a 7-0 deficit. Destroyed them. Vandy beat Missouri. And I didn't see any of this game. I actually missed a lot of the early games because I was busy all day. I did not see the early games. So all I know about this game is that Pribula got hurt. Missouri, they went out there and almost had a Hail Mary that fell just short, and Vanderbilt gutted out this win. Good win for Vandy. I picked Vanderbilt, and they got it done. Vanderbilt's going to continue to rise in the polls. Tough loss for Missouri, and especially if Pribula is going to be out for a long time because he got carted off, which sucks. I hate that for him. Missouri's in bad shape the rest of the way. That's tough. That is a really tough thing to happen for Mizzou. Great win for Vandy, continuing their awesome story. I think they're 7-1 for the first time since 1941. It's incredible what's going on in college football right now with Indiana, Georgia Tech, Vandy, these type of schools. It's crazy. Awesome to see it happening. I picked Iowa State in the next game. BYU got it done. I picked Iowa State, got it wrong. BYU, people are starting to get more impressed by them. It is the Big 12, though. I'm still expecting BYU to choke down the stretch of the season because last year they started out like 9-0 and they fell apart. But we'll see. BYU looking pretty good regardless. Still impressive that they've done all that after the Jake Retzloff situation. Bear Botmeyer's been good. Tech destroyed Oklahoma State. Nothing to see there at all. Virginia, UNC. Oh, my goodness. So you talk about North Carolina and the fact that last week they lose on a fumble that the Carolina receiver has right before the goal line and lose to Cal last week. And then this week they take a top 20 team that I actually don't really believe is top 20 good in Virginia, but they are ranked in the top 20. It would have been an impressive win if they could have gotten it. They go for 2 in overtime, and they don't get it. So Carolina with 2 just gut-wrenching losses. I mean, think about it. Right now they're 2-5, I think. If they win these last 2 games, if they were this close to winning, they'd be 4-3. And people would be like, not too bad, Bill. But Carolina's 2-5. Yeah, I don't know, man. That a crazy loss, especially how they lost their last 2 games. They're not as bad as we thought at the beginning of the season, but still Carolina's pretty bad. Then you got Tennessee, Kentucky. That was a terrible game. Kentucky is bad. South Florida, Memphis, actually a surprise. I think most people pick South Florida, including myself. And Memphis won, especially with Memphis losing to UAB. I think a lot of people kind of cooled on Memphis a little bit, but going out there with South Florida getting that tough L after having a really good stretch of the season where they only had 1 loss, and that 1 loss was to Miami. Like South Florida, they looked like they were easily going to be the Group of 5 team to represent in the playoffs. Now it's probably going to be a dogfight between them and Memphis. We'll see, though. We'll definitely see. It's going to be very interesting to see which team represents. But that's a big win for Memphis, though. Louisville struggles against Boston College, expectedly after their big win, but they win. BC's really bad, though. Like last time, Louisville lost at Pitt after a big win, and then they lost to Stanford before as well in recent years. So they've done it before, but they got the win this time. Still not very impressive, though. Cincinnati, Baylor, not a good game for Baylor. Cincinnati won. Texas, Mississippi State. Man, Texas sucks. Like they're probably, the new Georgia on my mind right now, which sucks because I still think Georgia's overrated, but they keep winning, so whatever. Texas is not a good team. They're flat out not a good team. But you know what? They've won. They beat Kentucky. They beat Mississippi State. But did they look good doing it? No, they did not. But they have talent. We know they got talent. To be fair, Arch did play a lot better today. But they still look like crap. And Mississippi State blew the game. So very interesting. Just very interesting that Texas is squeaking out wins while looking really crappy doing so. Washington, Illinois. I picked Washington. A lot of people picked Illinois. I don't know why. Playing at Washington. Washington is a tough place to play. And when you're a team like Illinois coming all the way from the Midwest, these teams are pretty comparable. Yeah, Washington was always going to win in my mind, and they got it done. Big win for Washington. Damon Williams had a great game. Washington might be ranked now. Illinois still, they're not a bad team, but, definitely not the preseason hype that people gave them, kind of like I thought that they would. I thought Illinois would definitely not live up to those expectations. I was correct in that regard. Wrong on a lot of stuff, just like the very next game, and I was right about Illinois. I was wrong on the next game, though. Arizona State, I did pick the Sun Devils at home, and they almost came back to their credit. But with Sam Levitt getting hurt and Jeff Sims having to come in, you've got no shot. It's over at that point. Even though he did throw a touchdown pass, his first touchdown in 2 years, Houston going out there. And they're 7-1. Willie Fritz actually now is a good Houston team. So we'll see what they do. And then last, Michigan beat Michigan State. Michigan State's terrible. Pretty decent win for Michigan. Not the best one in the world, but it's a rivalry game. They got the win. We got Kay in the Diesel Free with another $5 super chat. Appreciate it, Kay. Jeffrey, please skip the crappy teams, which in your mind, Caden, is every team but Ohio State. But you know what? We still got to get through the other games because nobody cares about them. Like, seriously, I think people do. That's why people are here despite Ohio State not playing today. But it's okay, Caden. We will forgive and forget. It's all good. And I'm going to put the StreamYard link in the chat since I went through all the top 25 games, and I don't really think people want to be bored by the rest of it, to your point, even though I would like to go through Nebraska getting, a okay win over Northwestern and some of these other games. But you know what? Maybe our callers will talk about that. So I've got the StreamYard link in the chat. Again, appreciate the support, Kate. Appreciate the $5 super chat. But, it is hilarious how, to you, every team but Ohio State is crap. don't agree with that, but, again, it's a matter of an opinion. But we got Jackson Johnson and Eaglefree coming on here at the same time. It's going to get wild. It's going to get crazy. Buckle up, folks. How you guys?
How's everybody doing tonight?
You know I'm literally the only one in here besides you, Jackson and Jeffrey.
That's all right. What's on your mind?
What's on my mind? I literally just said this week is full of crap. Seriously, crap.
Okay.
I mean, seriously, nobody cares about South Florida or whoever. Like, seriously, although my Buckeyes are not playing, but that's not the point. That's not the point. I mean, seriously, the boring teams that got to be out here this week. Seriously, like, I seriously don't care. Like, Notre Dame is included with all of them. Seriously, like, I don't give a crap about Notre Dame.
Dang.
I mean, you don't give a crap about Notre Dame, but you sure do talk about them pretty frequently, so they might matter to you a little bit. But
yeah, because they like to yap. They just yap like a bunch of puppies. Jeez.
I don't think they played this weekend either.
Oh, Will and D, shut up. Nobody cares.
Well, I mean, Caden, you care a lot about Notre Dame because it's either going to make or break $500 for you this year.
Yep.
You're going to get a big payout if Notre Dame loses again. But Will and D's Irish are looking a whole lot better the last few weeks against nobody. I know, and USC win doesn't count. But you know what? If Notre Dame wins out, they make the playoffs. And I know that irritates Stephen Cherry because it makes me sound like Joe Tessitore repeating the same thing 800 billion times. But you know what? Again, I would like my good buddy Will and D not to lose his money because even though I got nothing against you earning money, and that is a substantial amount of money for Will and D to lose over a really dumb bet in my mind. But again, I respect Will for making it, and I guess I can respect you for taking it. I don't blame you for taking it at all. But again, just my thoughts on it. So you know what? I got no dog in the fight. But you know what? Yeah, I do want Notre Dame to make the playoffs.
That's not. I was going to ask you. Were you able to catch that wild finish of North Carolina, Virginia, or has that been already talked about yet?
I did talk about the North Carolina Virginia game. I didn't watch it. I didn't see it again. It's honestly it's pretty crazy that I was able to catch as much of the games as I did, considering that I barely had any time to watch the game. So yeah, I got to see enough, especially the later games to talk
boring.
about. Yeah, boring. I was busy today, Kate, and I didn't have time to watch football like you did, even though the games didn't matter. Isn't that cool? It's cool that the games didn't matter, but you still were able to watch them probably. I just didn't get to see them. Too bad. But appreciate the super chat from Jackson Johnson. $5 says, maybe we should go live again this week, please. Yes, we will. Definitely appreciate it, Jackson, and Kate for the super chats. Let's get Only Talk Sports to 5,000. So let's go. That's probably boring too, Kaden, right?
Well, since Only Talk Sports is going to get to 5,000 subs by the end of this month, it'll be nice.
Oh man. Good grief, this is funny.
It's just so funny, man. It's just so easy to have a friendly banter with Caden. It is
right.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah, well, pardon me. At least I'm the only one on here that's at least called Will and D out for his stupid comments. So
we need Will and D to come on to debate you right now. We need that ASAP. Like that would be amazing.
Oh, I'm gonna put out the link now.
Did any of the games matter to you this week, Caden? Were they all crap, like I predicted? Were any of them okay? Did any of them matter at all?
Well, the majority of them were just full of crap, including the Alabama win.
It was a good win. I mean, it wasn't a great win, but it was a good win. A road win in the SEC.
I'm ready for the harmonica to break out.
Jackson Johnson, I seriously don't need the Godfather acting like an idiot on here. I swear to God.
He's a talented harmonica player, though. That's the thing. I mean, you got to give him credit.
No. Crappiest harmonica player. Jesus Christ, Jeff.
Have you ever heard anybody else play the harmonica before beside him, though, to judge that?
I heard a lot of people play the harmonica, and they were really bad. Ugh.
Oh man,
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, like I'm looking at Mississippi State, Texas.
Oh no, Caden's gone. No, Godfather scared him away.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, you're good, Godfather. You're good.
I'm sorry. He was afraid of the harmonica.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
Oh.
Must have been an internet connection in Ohio that went bad.
He must be on Terrifier 4.
That's what.
Who the hell is Terrifier 4?
A dummy like you. Art the Clown, dumbass. Art the Clown. You don't know.
Oh my God, this is so fucking dumb.
Do you not know who Art the Clown is? You never heard of Art the Clown?
Godfather, I seriously don't give a fuck. I seriously don't give a fuck.
Oh Lord!
Hey, Kaden, do you remember the TV show Alf?
Alf.
Jeffrey, I seriously don't give a fuck. I seriously don't.
Let me ask you a question, Caden. I know this is a college football show, but besides,
let me ask you this question.
What do you give a about? What do you about?
The only thing I give a fuck about is my Ohio State Buckeyes. That's the only thing I give.
Nothing else matters.
As far as I'm concerned on YouTube that I've said, it's only my Ohio State Buckeyes. Is that all you need to know, or do you have any more questions?
Don't care about your diesel truck, then?
That's my personal life, dude. That's my personal life. You got a problem with that?
Yeah, well, it's not that personal. Everybody on the internet can see the truck. I mean, it's pretty out there, man. I mean, it's in your name, the Diesel Freak. You know, I think it's a pretty important part of your life. That's just my opinion.
Hey, you're Jeffrey the Jackass.
Cool.
No. Jackson's the Jackass.
He's correct.
No, Waylon's the dumbass. I can't figure out what's one. But y'all are dumbasses.
Dumbass. Gee whiz. You hurt my feelings on 11-14 on Saturday night. You hurt my feelings.
Well, I don't give a fuck, Godfather. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, right now, Caden is in a foul mood tonight.
He's in a
foul mood tonight.
I'm putting up the harmonica, Caden. I'm sorry. I put it up. I'm sorry.
Caden, put the bottle down. You're not making sense as long as 1969.
I'm not drinking. I'm just trying to relax until you jackasses are making a fool of yourselves.
Hey,
and Godfather's acting like the biggest dumbass
we're too
here.
much for you, though, Caden. You don't have to be here. I'm glad you're here because you make for an engaging, well-rounded conversation about stuff. Pretty cool. I mean, without you, we wouldn't get all the great laughs we get on Saturday night. So I appreciate it, Caden. I really do. So I'm glad you're here, even though we're all morons and dumb, you know. And you would be able to relax better if we weren't on the internet or somehow. Even though, again, you don't have to, but I'm glad you do. You know, I'm glad you do, though.
But well, I was gonna say, Georgia Tech is 8-0 for the first time since Bobby Dodd's final season 66. A&M got their first win against LSU in Baton Rouge for the first time since 1994 when we got to hear a little Jungle Boogie on Pulp Fiction where everything was about to get down. Well, there was a lowdown for Brian Kelly, and it's not ending well for him. Mike Elko and friends were ready to get down tonight.
Yeah.
Bama, you and I talked on Facebook today, Godfather, about Alabama and South Carolina. Like that was a fantastic finish by the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, we were incredible in the last 2 drives of the game. Now, the third quarter and the second quarter was not good, but that fourth quarter, those last 2 drives, that was great football.
Oh man,
No,
And-
y'all struggled with South Carolina. Like literally struggled. Oh my
Y'all
lord!
barely beat Nebraska last year at
got
home.
a
So again,
diesel.
even the best teams in college football can struggle and win.
Yeah,
Okay, we all do that.
yeah. And
Well, let me ask Jeffrey and Jackson a question here. Who has the national championship ring at the moment? Oh, that's right. That's Ohio
It
State.
was like double the
yeah,
rings.
no.
Again, we get kind of semantics. It don't matter. We're talking about 2025. We're not talking
Right.
1989 or 2024.
Jeffrey,
2025.
That's not my. I'm asking, who currently has a national championship right now?
You
A
don't.
national championship.
That was last season, man.
That's last season, man. You need to be
It's
quiet
a new
about that.
season.
It's a new season, man.
Well, Jeffrey, we're about to get
we
another
all have
ring.
an equal chance at the top, man. Ohio State, IU, Bama, A&M, some other team. Literally, we all have the same chance, dude.
Not likely. Not likely.
Not likely, but not impossible.
Oh no.
And Jackson knows this. If Alabama were to play Ohio State right now, they would get their butts kicked. Big time. Bad.
Like Zero said, a conversation with Caden is about as well-rounded as olive oil from Popeye. that might be comment of the night right there. I don't know.
Yeah. Comment of the
I mean,
night.
Who
plus,
olive oil is, Caden?
do what?
Do you know who olive oil is from Popeye?
No.
Man, you just ain't cultured, man.
That long-legged chit that Popeye and Bluto were fighting one another.
Yeah.
Betty Boop.
Never heard of it.
I think Popeye.
I have a hard time believing that. Well, actually, with you probably, but
I think Popeye.
I remember our good friend Austin said he never had a Twinkie before, which he did clarify that he said he hadn't eaten one, which I still like. Everyone's had a Twinkie, but again, he said that he never, had one, but he's seen it, which I still don't know about that. But again, I can respect that. But you're saying you've never heard of olive oil from Popeye. I mean, that's a cultural icon right there, that TV show. And you don't even remember the Robin Williams movie from 1980? Dude. I mean,
I remember watching them from Boomerang and Cartoon Network. I remember,
I've seen all that, man. Again, that's culture. Right
I don't
there.
know. Like, I wish there was like a cartoon where Popeye and Blue are like, wait a minute, why are we fighting over this one chick again? We're sailors. Like, we can get like 1 million of them. Like, boom. Like, it's like,
I was going to say, as far as I'm concerned, as football wise, I know Will and D doesn't have the kahunas to come on here, and I dang sure know he doesn't. He's probably somewhere in South Bend hiding away because he knows when the diesel free comes to the building, he knows he doesn't want the snub. And we all know that. Simple as that. And so let's talk with
Will
Austin.
D has the kahunas.
oh,
I'm sure he does. He just probably doesn't want to talk.
Sorry if I continue some of these games a little bit, Jeffrey.
I don't mind at all. That's why you guys are here. You talk about whatever you want.
Oh, this is going to be so freaking hilarious.
Okay, Kate. Okay, so we saw Mississippi State winning 38-21 But then Texas made that
joke.
huge comeback, 24 unanswered points. Another conference loss for the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Texas still sucks, but yeah.
And
Yeah, they
Arch
do.
Manning, and Godfather was talking about this on Alabama with the Voice of College Football in the chat on the Alabama South Carolina post game. He was talking about how Arch Manning was injured, going into the tent. And we learned a little bit about a journeyman quarterback who's been at Jacksonville State, Troy, and a few others. Now, I bet I could find this young man, but he's been all over the place. Matthew Caldwell is his name. How much
I'm
more
sure
are we
that
going to...
Caden's never heard of him either, Jackson.
Oh, I know. But that's what the channel Only Talk Sports is there for, is to tell you a little bit about the sports world every single day, or at least we try to, as the host Jeffrey at Only Talk Sports says, all right here on Only Talk Sports.
Appreciate that, Jackson. Couldn't
Oh,
have
you're
said it better myself. King of the promos, man.
And Louisville dodged a bullet against Boston College. It looks to me they could be having a shot at the ACC title game, but the problem is they're going to need Virginia to lose not one, but two conference games, unless Georgia Tech loses a conference game, which I think they're going to have to wait for that. But as I always tell people, don't put yourself in a position where you need somebody to lose for you. Speaking of which, SMU lost their first regular season conference game since 2022, the week before rivalry week, when Wake Forest won in a 13-12 victory on the CW with a game-winning field goal.
Yeah, SMU's not good.
Well, they could give Miami trouble. Like I guarantee you what's going to happen is they're going to be giving Miami trouble. They're not bringing their A game against Wake Forest, but they'll bring their A game against Miami. That is something to definitely
Doubt it.
I don't know. Miami tends to let their guard down in games that no one's watching.
Okay, and you're still a Miami believer? Or have you switched back to Georgia?
Jackson, did you hear me on the Miami channel this past Thursday?
What did you say this Thursday? I didn't see that.
Well, because you were too busy probably talking to I don't know who the heck Godfather or one of those dummies.
I talked to Garrison on the Ohio State channel, and then I talked to TJ and Johnny, and then I got ready for the Alabama call-in show, and I released the Jack Sane episode, so I must have missed what you said. What did you say?
I said to Jaden Gonzalez of the Miami channel, I said, as long as Miami can snap back to get this week and they can hit hard on defense like they have for the last couple of weeks before they lost to Louisville, they are in a better... Jeffrey, I'm talking. Shut up. Anyways, as long as Miami can do what they did, dominate, then they are going to be fine. And as far as I'm concerned, if Miami wins the next couple of games and they can win with only having the one loss to Louisville, then they're in better shape to go to the ACC championship game, as far as I'm concerned. So Miami, I still have my picks in for Miami to win the rest of the season, as long as they can get payback on Louisville or really hand a butt kicking to somebody in the ACC title game. Oh, and speaking of your buddy who confessed that he doesn't know or he hasn't eaten Twinkies, Sports Talk with Austin is in the comments section. Sports Talk with Austin, if you have a problem with me, come in here. Otherwise, keep your mouth shut, go back eating your Twinkies, and let's not hear from you. How about that, good sir? That would be nice.
Well, Sports Talk with Austin, appreciate you reading in the chat. He says, Caden, don't make the last real champion come with your kid.
Last real champion. Come on now. The last real champion.
I'm not saying I endorse that statement. I'm just saying that's what he said. So I just kind of want to feel your thoughts out on that.
Well, and Nebraska is now bowl eligible before the end of October for the first time since 2016.
Now Matt Rule's back to being a top candidate at Penn State. Ooh.
Nah, he'll still be.
That statement was completely laced with sarcasm. I mean, like literally, Penn State's still dumb for firing Franklin. But again, like Matt Rule needs to stay at Nebraska and fix that shit. We'll bring on Hummus here, so don't want to have to wait too long. The panel grows, the chaos grows. It's all good. How you doing tonight, Hummus?
Hey guys, I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, no.
Hey, Hummus.
Long time no
Hey,
see, Hummus. How have you been, good buddy?
I've been doing all right. Just enjoyed the day. Enjoyed the day of football.
Same, man.
I wish I could have seen all of it, but I'm glad I got to see at least about 20% of it.
I was busy.
Interesting to see the results for sure.
Well, that's what I'm here for, to kind of help out a little bit.
I didn't get to watch the early games, which the Oklahoma. I saw a little bit of the end of the Oklahoma game, but it looked like it was pretty entertaining. I watched the highlights and it looked pretty good, but the middle slate of SEC games was really entertaining.
Hey, Hummus, hold on. Hey, buddy, I'm gonna leave you my spot because I am. I mean, listen. I'm just gonna tell you this now. Jeffrey Jackson gonna get boring, and the Godfather's is gonna be stupid. So I'm gonna let you take over my spot, Hummus. Hey, Hummus, I'll catch you on the Ohio State channel, sir, and I'll catch the dummies later.
All right, Caden.
See you
What an
later.
exit by Caden the Diesel Freak.
Take care, Caden.
Memorable segment of Week 9 reactions.
Well, we'll probably
And,
see him tomorrow. We'll probably see him tomorrow on the ladies of college football.
Oh yeah, we'll see him again. Caden will be back around, and when he does, it'll be a ton of fun as always. So appreciate always the support, Caden. Oh yeah, but you know what? You troll all of us too. You trolled us first. I would have never trolled you till you trolled us. So I troll you back. It's all fair game. It's all fun. It's all great. So appreciate it, Caden. You have a great night. I'll see you soon. How you doing officially, Hummus?
Uh-oh.
We lost him too. You want me to blink out? I'll blink out too. We're Hummus and Austin. Austin can come on and tell Caden what a Twinkie is or whatever.
Yeah, Austin can come on. Will can come on. Dre Dog, or almost said Dr. Dre. Long Legs 1989. Like everybody in the chat can come on if they want. I don't want to be live till 3 a.m, but you know what? As I say that, I probably will. But I'll try not to. But again.
Well, that's all right. I'll make sure you won't be on till 3 a.m. You got.
It's always chaos on Saturday night. It's always a good show. A lot of good laughs on Saturday night.
I appreciate it, Godfather. I mean, that's the main goal of the show. I mean, I want to get my thoughts in, which is why I tried to get through the games first before I brought the callers on. But once the callers are on, like you said, I just want everybody to have fun. If everybody's laughing and having a great time, that's the main goal. I mean, that's definitely the main goal. I appreciate it. You guys are what makes it happen.
Oh, you're welcome, man. We're ready to hear your thoughts, man. Let's go.
Yeah, so what I was saying earlier before Caden dipped out, those middle SEC games were really entertaining. The Vanderbilt game that went right down to the wire, and Texas's comeback. Those were some good games. Good entertainment for a day that had very few upsets. Like there wasn't like a major upset really at all. There was some really entertaining games.
Oh yeah.
So
for sure.
Everybody wants
definitely
to see
agree with that
upset,
for sure.
Sometimes you just got to value the good games regardless of if the upset occurs.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, there really wasn't a major upset. I mean, if Carolina had to beat Virginia, that would have been probably your closest, because they were like an 11-point favorite, but Virginia was. But still, they did not win, so that avoided upset there. Then you look at Memphis beating South Florida. I mean, that was like not a shock, I guess, but it still was like it was at least an eyebrow raiser, because South Florida was heavily expected to win that.
Yeah,
but
that was
Memphis
probably the biggest. That was probably the biggest upset. But if you look at the other top 25 teams that went down, like I wouldn't even really consider Houston over Arizona State much of an upset at all.
Washington over Illinois isn't either.
And I kind of anticipated Washington winning that game, honestly, just because it was at home. Washington's like a different team at home than they are on the road. So I don't know. But do you guys watch the Oregon game? I know it was kind of buried because it wasn't a very good game, but
I watched a little bit of it. I think Oregon
didn't see a single second. So
I saw a little bit of it. Oregon kind of played with their foot a little bit. Kind of went easy on Wisconsin tonight because they're like, you know what, Wisconsin's suffered enough as it is.
Yeah, that was kind of my takeaway without watching the game is that Oregon probably could have beaten them by a lot more and didn't.
I don't know. According to Ben and Spaz over there on Quacking Off or whatever their channel is called now, they were saying that Spaz anyways, he was kind of saying that the weather was really bad. It was like sheets of rain coming in, so he was attributing some of their struggle in that game. He wasn't saying they were playing with their food. He was just saying the conditions were terrible. It was really hard to pass the ball, but I don't know. I kind of wonder about Oregon at this point. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they finish out here because, you know, now looking at Penn State, which I'm not saying Penn State maybe didn't have a collapse and they weren't like a decent team at the point where Oregon beat them. And obviously it's not easy to win in Happy Valley, but I don't know. I'm just interested to see what ends up happening with Oregon because I still feel like for the most part at this point of the year, you kind of know who teams are, like relatively speaking. But I think that with Oregon, like, I don't know, they really, I hate to say this because I know it's like the thing that everybody says all the time and it's irritating and so cliche, but like, I just don't know if Oregon's really played anybody yet. I mean, you know.
Well, I mean, the issue with that statement, Hummus, I'm just gonna because I know what you're getting at, and I get it. It's fair. But the problem with that statement that Oregon was thought to be a top 5 team this season, 5 to 7 in the preseason, and up until the Indiana game, they did everything that they were supposed to do, including beating Penn State. And at the time, Penn State was thought of to be a top 5 team. Now that the results are coming out, that, well, hey, Penn State's trash, I still think that Penn State of today is than Penn State of then, because at that time, Penn State still had a belief in them.
Right.
You know, that win's still good. Indiana win. I mean, if Indiana beating Oregon, I mean, that Indiana's probably a top 5 team. So that's not a bad loss at all. And people forget that the very next week they beat Rutgers by like 60. So
yeah, they did.
I did not see this game. That's why, like Steven said, that's false. I did not see this game. That's why I put a disclaimer that I did not see a lot of these games. My takeaways on these games, a lot of them could be absolutely wrong because I did not see these games. I didn't watch a single second of this game. I didn't even know there was bad weather in Oregon. I don't live in Oregon, so I had no idea. If I saw the game, then I would have known. But the thing is that I don't think that if there really was bad weather that you can really take that away that, hey, Oregon is bad at all. I think Oregon is still very, very darn good. I think the game that's really going to be able to tell you if Oregon is elite or not is whether they can go to Kinnick and beat Iowa, a team that actually looks pretty solid this year in the Big Ten, and beat them because Indiana did it. If Oregon can beat them,
I still don't really trust.
Then,
I still don't really trust Iowa, though. I mean, I know Iowa's looked good, and they played, and once again, they are better at home. So, but I don't know. And when I was saying that who has Oregon played, really, I should say who have they beaten, because obviously they did play Indiana, and they played pretty decently in that game. But I don't know. I'm just questioning if Oregon is really like up there with, you know, the better teams at this point or not. And I think that we'll find out, because I think they have some pretty decent games down the stretch. They've got Iowa, USC, and Washington, and none of those might be like teams that we consider to be top 10 right now, but I think they're all teams that are within the probably 15 to 30 range, you know, so they're going to have 3 good tests coming down the stretch. I think if they can make it to 10-2, I think that they obviously deserve a playoff spot, but I don't know. We'll just see.
They would get in it. They would get in at 10-2, even with another loss, because it's Oregon. Brands matter, unfortunately. I think like if Indiana lost 2 games the rest of the way, they'd probably leave them out because it's Indiana, and when they lost, and the teams that they would be losing to are not the best. Whereas if Oregon loses to or like USC or in Iowa, they're gonna be like, well, their 2 losses are to Indiana, and this USC team is pretty decent. And
I think
it's Oregon, so they would get in the playoffs at 10-2. Yes.
I feel like Indiana would still get if they're 2 loss, but they are like a 2 loss Big 12 team or a 2 loss ACC team. I think they would get left out. But I think if you're like Big 10 or SEC, I feel like the Big 10 SEC teams get in. Honestly, that's my opinion.
Well, the only reason I'm saying it, Jackson, is because Indiana had 1 loss last year,
right?
And they barely got in the playoffs. I understand this is a different team, and I understand they've got better wins and a better resume and all those statistics that matter so much to the committee. But I just believe that if Indiana lost 2 games the rest of the way, they probably would leave them out. I could be wrong because they are ranked number 2. If they lost 2 close games to like Maryland and Penn State, I don't know, man. I just think they leave them out. I think they leave them out because it's IU. If it's Ohio State, easy in. Oh, it don't matter they lost to Penn State in Maryland, but it's Indiana. They're going to leave them out. They will leave them out. I mean, you even see, again, I'm not saying any shade at you, Hummus, at all, because I understand where you're coming from, but people still don't treat IU fair. You even just said who was Oregon played. Again, it's still a block that people are trying to overcome right now. The nation's trying to overcome that Indiana might be good. So since they're not there yet, and 99% of people's minds, yes, Indiana will get left out of the playoff with 2 losses, in my opinion. I believe you are right that, yeah, a 10-2 Big Ten or SEC team should pretty much automatically be in unless there's like 80 billion 10-2 teams and you got to pick some, but that usually isn't how that works. But to me, IU would get left out because of narrative, because Hummus and 99% of the country think that IU still isn't good. And I'm not saying that to be mean, because I agree with Hummus that I still have my doubts because it's Indiana. It's Indiana. It's not Ohio State.
Like I said,
but that's the way people feel, so they would get left out, in my opinion. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I misspoke. I actually think Indiana is really good. What I should have said, like I said, is who have they beaten?
No, I know, like, I understand, like, what you said. I'm not saying anything negative like that because you did clear it up. What I'm saying about it is it's just embedded in people's minds. That's all I'm saying. It's so deeply rooted that Indiana is bad, that they're supposed to be bad, that, yes, if they lose again, like if they lost to Maryland next week, people would just jump on the back. Indiana sucks. They're terrible. They're not good. They're overrated. If Ohio State loses that game, oh, well, Ohio State played bad and they'll be fine. That's just the way I look at it. But the thing is that opinion is fair. It is. Because Ohio State has this long-standing history of excellence that if they do drop an Iowa 2017, that they'll rebound. But if Indiana does it, then it's like, well, they were no good to begin with and it was all fraudulent. That's just the way it works.
I don't know. I think last year at this point it would have been relevant, but I just don't see it now. I think that the majority. I mean, there still are some people, and you're probably right that people would turn back against them. But I think the majority of people now recognize that Indiana actually is like, in my opinion, they're a national title contender. I think that there's only about maybe 4 to 6 teams that legitimately will have a chance to make it through 4 games, and I think Indiana's one of them. I definitely would put them above Texas Tech and probably Miami. I think Miami looks too inconsistent.
Oh, Indiana would beat the hell out of Miami and chew them up like a chicken nugget. That's for sure. But Hummus, I've got my top 10 of the Big Ten going into next week set up. And Jeffrey, you let me know what you think of it as well. So I've got Indiana number 1, Ohio State number 2, Oregon number 3, Michigan number 4, Washington 5, USC 6, Nebraska 7, Iowa 8, Illinois 9, and I've got Northwestern at 10. I kind of flip-flop between Minnesota and Northwestern for that 10 spot, but I think we'll know more about between like Minnesota. Yeah, it's like UCLA. I never really bought them as a top 10 team in the Big Ten.
Well, again, remember, Jackson, that UCLA was going to win out and make the Big Ten championship.
I know.
Remember that conversation we had.
Yeah.
I mean, it kills me when people say stuff like that and then it doesn't happen. They disappear. I mean, if I said that UCLA was going to win out, which I would never have said that in my life, but if I had said that, then I would say right now that I was a complete moron for saying that. But I didn't say that because why would I say that? UCLA, that was cool. I thought the Prince Charming thing was cool. I thought it was cool. But you know what? You run out of charm. And
Trends
you go play
coming.
an actual football team, and you get waxed.
Right.
I mean, I'm blown away that IU beat him by 50.
Yeah.
People,
I think that sounds
UCLA,
about
that's
right.
the thing. I've seen people online say, "Well, it was UCLA. They're supposed to win." No, they're not. For one, they were only favored by 20 something, and number two, UCLA literally beat Penn State, so they're not completely crap. And three, Indiana's not supposed to win like that. What they did is ridiculous. Ohio State is not even beating people like that. Now, Ohio State's playing a lot more methodical than IU is. IU is purposely running up the score to look good. Yeah, they are, which I've seen people say, well, they're running up the score. Well, that's what you're supposed to do. Again, there's always an argument. It's like, dude, when it has to do with IU, that's why I sound probably crazy sometimes when I talk about it, but I get legitimately irritated because people find fault with everything they do, man. It's like literally they run up the score and then people are dogging them for running up the score. That's what you're supposed to do.
And
like,
they're trying
dude,
to.
If you're not good, then you can't run up the score.
They're trying to build a reputation. I mean, Oregon does that, and Oregon already has a reputation. I completely understand why if you were Indiana, because, I mean, you're trying to get more eyeballs on you, more recruits, all that kind of stuff. They watch.
Ohio State doesn't have to do that.
Exactly.
They're proven.
Ohio
I mean,
State,
if they beat Washington 24-6, it looks great.
I mean, I agree with that Ohio State basically, in my opinion, and people might say I'm just being a homer, but I think a lot of the games this year, Ohio State has basically treated them like practice. Like that's what, when I watch it, that's what I see, because if you notice, like when they want to turn it on, they really do. Like for some reason, they wanted to kill Minnesota that night, and the game was just like over immediately.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And then it's like kind of just like, I think they're just kind of trying to see what works, and there's nothing wrong with that. I guess if you have confidence in your team, you're not going to go to like your A game plan where exactly this is going to work for sure because this is our bread and butter. Like I kind of feel like Ryan Day is kind of try to take some of the stuff that is going to work away. That way, when somebody else maybe does it down the line, you have a plan B. I think it's actually logical and smart to do. And once again, this is just me, my idea in my brain. I might be wrong. Like maybe some of the stuff they're trying to do just simply isn't working, and maybe it's some play calling with Hartline. I don't know. I'm not sure. But like definitely, you watch Indiana, and they look more dominant than Ohio State. I don't think that there's any doubt about that. So a lot of it is for sure like in people's brain, defending national champion. One of the best programs of all time, always good, and people just think, oh well, it's Ohio State, so they get the respect automatically, where Indiana, they're not going to unless they put like a 60-point margin of victory on whoever they're playing every week. They have one close game and everybody's like, oh, see, they struggled with Iowa. So I completely
It's
understand.
pathetic because, again, I point out Ohio State and Nebraska last year, and I don't do that to throw shade at you guys, but it's just the facts. You sucked against a sucky team last year, but that doesn't mean you're a sucky team.
Yeah,
dang, man. Sometimes you don't play good.
Yeah, it happens. In that game last year, that definitely wasn't a case of what I was explaining before. That was that was just them not playing good that day. That had nothing to do with
and that's the thing I've noticed, bro. It's like everybody struggles at Kinnick Stadium when they go to Iowa. Like that's something I've noticed, like especially when you're a top 25 team. And
outside of 2017, Ohio State
That was literally
You know,
that
they pretty much kill them.
Oh, for sure. And
2017
one
game.
last thing before I head out. BYU is now 8-0 in back-to-back seasons,
I'm
which
still waiting for the choke though, because and I know people are, well, you're saying about you, you're not saying about BYU. Okay, difference is BYU's not as good. Number two, because last year they legitimately did the same thing. They looked very good, and then they're like 9-0, and then they fell apart. I think they're good, I really do. But for the Big 12, I think they're really good for the
I
Big 12.
could see
But-
them losing to Texas Tech on the road, but I don't see them choking against TCU, Central Florida, or Cincinnati. But then again,
It's the Cincinnati game at home.
It's a road game. Yeah, but I don't feel like Cincinnati.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I'll stick to my guns with BYU when it gets to BYU Cincinnati. But I think Kalani Sataki and friends can get it done. And it was like I said earlier in the year, when Retzloff was thrown out, everybody was panicked about BYU going, oh, they're screwed. I'm like, I wouldn't say that, because I think they got a plan in place. And they lined up.
What was your prediction for BYU after the news? I had them on 7-5.
Huh? You have them at 7-5?
Yeah, I had BYU going.
I think I had them a little higher.
I didn't think they would be as good without Retzloff, because I didn't know anything. I didn't know who the heck Barry Bachmeier was. Really,
I felt like they were going to be like a 10-2 team. It's like my record didn't change.
Good job. I mean, I respect there, because
I could be wrong, but I'll have to double check. I'll have to double check my Phil Still magazine for 2025. Anywho, tell your friends, family, and the cashiers at Post about the magic Jeffrey at Only Talk Sports creates all right here on Only Talk Sports, where he talks sports every single day, or at least he tries to. And also check him out on the magic that he creates on Alabama at the Voice of College Football, Mondays and Thursdays, and after every post game.
Appreciate it, Jackson. Hey, I wasn't able to be there for the post game. We could have moved it, but keep it at the same time, keep it where people could do it right after the game. You did a great job. I'll definitely check that out. But Alabama Boys College Football, I'm there every post game, unless stuff happens. Sometimes you're not able to be there. But I appreciate it, Jackson. You have a great night.
Sleep well, stay safe.
Good luck on your show with Austin. It's always a great time over there as well. Definitely hope people check that out. I appreciate it, Jackson. Appreciate the super chat as well, man. And I hope you have a great night. Always.
You too, man. You sleep well.
Thanks, Jackson. Oh yeah, Jackson always has good insights. It's always good to talk to him. He's getting really good at this too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I mean, practice makes perfect. That's the thing. Like me and Jackson, I think we've been doing this stuff for like 3 years. It takes a lot of time to project what you're trying to say. I mean, everybody's different too. Like Jackson, he is like the best stats guy I've ever seen. I mean, his football all the way back to like 1910 and all that kind of stuff. Plus, his advertisement promos are just incredible. I mean, fantastic. I mean, and Jackson, like, underratedly knows a lot of stuff, and a lot of people are finding that out, and I'm glad they are, because he does a great job, and he does a lot of stuff too on his channel, and he goes around and does he guests on a lot of people's shows. Hardworking guy. He does a fantastic job. Definitely Jackson to death. And me, I mean, I just whether people like what I say or not, I get people amped up talking about their favorite coaches and teams. I know my opinions are wrong a lot, on some stuff, but I'm right a lot too. And when I am right, it's fun. And when you're wrong, I admit when I'm wrong. So, it's just, I don't know. I think this is great. I love doing this stuff. I appreciate all the support you guys have shown. I just love doing this stuff. But yeah, it takes time. I mean, like, you go back and watch our stuff 3 years ago, it was a lot worse. I'm not saying it's elite now or anything. It's not, because there's people that do it 10 times better than me. I mean, but it's probably 100 times better than me. But we try our best. Like I said, it takes a lot of time. But yeah, Jackson, like you said, he's getting really good at it, and I hope I'm getting better.
Well, you gotta find your own groove too. So it's not all. I mean, yeah, practice and all that stuff, but like you lean some into your personality, which is cool. You know what I mean? Like like you said, you're not like going crazy like Uncle Lou trying to become like a caricature of something.
No, I mean the way I
like,
that's how I feel.
Yeah, but I mean, you add an element of personality with a little bit more intensity than a lot of people who are more strictly factual. You know what I mean? But yeah, like Jackson, he's all about the bringing back history into it, and he's really good in conversation with the different people he talks to, and all that kind of stuff, which is cool too. So I enjoy watching a variety of people, but I'll be honest, I don't like people that just like, I don't know. I'm not trying to rag on anybody and like, but sometimes people they go too far with one thing. They go too far in one direction and it kind of ruins it for me. So, but I enjoy both of your approaches to what you're doing. It's always a good time watching your content. So.
I appreciate that, Hummus. I mean, honestly, like I love getting like someone on the outside, like their opinion of how people are doing. Because I mean, honestly, like sometimes when you're just doing what you're doing, you don't really think about it. But like what you just said, I mean, like I think you're absolutely spot on. I mean, it's crazy because, like you said, some people lean so far into the basically creating a caricature of themselves, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially if you are like really honest about that. Like I watch other YouTube channels that are not sports, and like some people, like if they're having a video game channel, they'll like create like a caricature of themselves in the videos that they make, and they're great. But then they have like a second channel where it's just themselves. It's just their normal actual personality. But like the main stuff, like the skits they do, it's like overblown, over the top stuff. And again, all that works. Me, I mean, I've just never really, thought about doing anything like that because it's just like, to me, you don't want to be fake either, right? Like I feel the way that I feel. People that know me in my real life, it's like it's the same as it's on here, and I don't want to be any different on here because I just want to tell people what I know about college football and how I feel about college football. And like I said, a lot of the stuff I say, a lot of people don't agree with, and that's okay because I don't agree with them, and that's how we can have the conversation back and forth. And I do try to bring stats too because I don't want to just be, Georgia sucks because they suck. That's why I'm like, you know what? I think Georgia's a bit overrated. I don't necessarily think that they're as good as people think. But you know what? They're winning ball games, and I mean, you can't deny that. Whereas other people, like you said, do the stats. I do stats, and I do care about that stuff and results. But like you said, I do it more from a personality side. It kind of, it's a bit of both. I try to keep it kind of. These Saturday night shows get a little crazy because that's just what happens.
Well, yeah, when you allow any random person like me or Caden or, I mean, most of us are cool and they don't like ruin your content fully, but you are kind of at the mercy of people when you allow them on your channel like that. So, and you're not one to just kick people off either usually. So, I don't think I've ever seen it, but yeah, you strike a good balance with it and maintain your authenticity. That's something where. That's what I was kind of getting at before, is where I'll be watching somebody and they go too far into like a character, and it's like, I'm watching sports content. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to make a channel like that, make a channel that's like SEC shorts or whatever and do like skits. Like, I don't like when I want to watch analysis and hear insight, I want to hear somebody who's intelligent and is actually being somewhat reasonable. You know what I mean? So like, and that's why some of the fan channels can get a bit much too, because the people just have outrageous takes on their fan, and their fandom blinds them. You know what I mean? Like, it really blinds. So, but
absolutely. That's why, like with Alabama and Indiana, I try not to go too far, with statements, because like I've not said Indiana's the best team in college football one time. I have not said that Indiana's going to win it all one time, and I've not said Indiana's going to beat Ohio State if they face each other one time. I'm not going to say it. No one's going to make me say it because I don't want to say it. If it happens, I'm going to be thrilled, but I don't want to say it because it's probably not going to happen, even though it actually could. And I mean, if it did, I'd be thrilled. But
I think it's the closest that I would ever see. The ironic thing,
it's probably never going to get any closer, and if it don't, it don't. But you never know.
The one year Ohio State, I know that they haven't played every single. Well, yeah, they have prior to, because last year last year was the first day of first year with no division. So literally the first time Indiana does not have Ohio State on the schedule, and the first time Indiana could legitimately probably beat, like last year, maybe they could have 2 out of 10 or something like that. I mean, they were good last year. They were really good, but Ohio State was probably just a little bit on another level. This year, I think if they played, I don't know. I mean, you have to see how they do play, but I would say it would be more of like closer to 50-50 if they played 10 times. And, that's the crazy thing is that they actually don't play unless they end up meeting in the Big Ten championship or the playoffs, which is probably likely at this point. So
it is absolutely likely. I mean, now,
probably get to see it. Probably get to
Ohio State, their toughest games left, if you even want to call them that. I mean, you Michigan. I mean, and the state. But Ohio State should be 12-0. They should be 12-0. Key word, should. And Indiana, their toughest game left is Penn State, Maryland. They should be 12-0. That doesn't mean that they're going to be 12-0. But if both teams are 12-0, yeah, they will face. I mean, Ohio State is the issue is that Ohio State is by far the more talented team. For example, like I said on Twitter that Elijah Surratt should get more attention because the guy is putting up a crazy stats. Now, figures today he only had 2 receptions for 6 yards, but UCLA had the smart idea to double him all game, and they doubled Omar Cooper all game. So then EJ Williams went out there and had a career day. So smart move, I mean, that's kind of why you say all the time and other people say about like Jeremiah Smith and some of the other great receivers that Ohio State has had in the past. They have Andrew, I'll definitely let you on in a sec. Sorry, me and Hummus get really into a conversation, but I definitely will bring you on in a second. Appreciate you being in the backstage. I'll bring you on. Probably leave Hummus on as well if Hummus wants to stay. But what I'm saying it real quick on Ohio State, though, is that some of the receivers that they've had in the past, they get so much attention, right? Like that they can't put up the stats they possibly could put up because of the fact that they're always getting doubled and, all that kind of stuff. And that's absolutely fair. It is fair. So, but when I look at Surratt, it's like his stats are very comparable to Jeremiah Smith's, but because Jeremiah Smith was a former 5-star guy and he is uber talented and makes one-handed catches and highlight plays, and Surratt's just kind of like, yeah, he was a 2-star, basically he was a 0-star recruit, essentially. There was a nobody coming out of high school, and he worked his way up, and he's just kind of like the most solid receiver you're going to get. Like, he doesn't really flash, he doesn't really pop, but he just does everything well, right? He runs routes well, he catches balls well, he puts up stats, all that kind of stuff. He doesn't get talked about nowhere near the same level. That's the difference between Ohio State and Indiana, and that's embodiment of it in literally 2 players. But Ohio State is way more talented than Indiana. They've got 5 stars everywhere. Indiana's 0. Indiana cannot be this good because there's no other team in college football right now that's as good as Indiana with the same type of talent.
Well,
Surratt's going to get drafted a lot lower than Smith. Smith's going to get drafted in the top 10, and Surratt's going to probably be 3rd round. It's just it is.
I don't know. Wide receivers get valued pretty high. I think Surratt will probably be top 2 round. We'll see how many guys are in the draft this year.
That's quite possible, Hummus, that maybe he gets drafted higher, but I definitely don't think it's going to be super high. I got you on, Andrew. You're dying to get your takes out. What are you wanting to tell us? Appreciate you for coming on.
Sorry. Internet problems.
You're good. Happens to me all the time. I've had internet issues before, really bad internet issues. So
UAB might go undefeated the rest of the year.
UAB?
Yep.
Probably will. I don't know who they play, but I'm sure it's not great teams.
They're better since they fired their coach.
Yeah, they got that big one over Memphis after hiring Dilfer. So, definitely, it'll look better. You got anything else, Andrew? Any other takeaways from the games today?
Ole Miss is scary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. Steven's laughing. That's funny. Yeah, Ole Miss definitely is a scary team. So, like at times they can be very dangerous, but I still again think there might be a gap between them and the top. But they are very good. Like they are very good. Should have beat Georgia last week, but they've been they've been pretty solid overall the last few seasons. That's why I still believe Kiffin shouldn't leave Ole Miss. But great win today. Great win.
Sam Houston's making a playoff push.
Sam Houston. I know that when they first joined the FBS, they were not good. But what's the record right now?
They're going to make a long push, I feel like.
Sam Houston is 0-7. Yeah, they're still bad. That is definitely satire. I know that for a fact.
Playoff push.
Sam Houston's rough.
I think what separates Ole Miss, I think it's just the same story as it typically is that can you trust their defense? And especially now in a 12-team playoff, can you trust their defense to really hold steady? Because any team that's going to make it through the 12-team playoff is going to have a good defense.
Mm.
I mean, you could maybe do it with an offense that was like what Michigan had in 2023. Like maybe that could happen, but like you're going to have. I don't see it happening with a team that doesn't have a top 10 defense. And I haven't looked at the metrics, but I've watched Ole Miss play, and same old story. Like, usually they're involved in more of a game that is closer to a shootout than a rock fight. So.
I don't disagree with that at all, Thomas. I mean, you're right. I mean, Ole Miss definitely that's a weakness on defense. And if their offense isn't, I'm not going to say perfect, but I mean, you saw against Georgia. Literally, Georgia and Ole Miss going back and forth. They were scoring every drive, and then Ole Miss got stopped a couple times at the end of the game, and they couldn't stop Georgia.
I mean, yeah. And honestly, if you bring up Georgia, I think I'd probably, until further notice, I think I'd put Georgia, crazy as that sounds, I think I'd say the same thing about Georgia this year. I don't think I trust their defense to make it through the playoffs.
Yeah, their defense has regressed like massively compared to what it used to be. I mean, Alabama's has regressed too, but I think Alabama's defense is significantly better than Georgia. I mean, Georgia's had their moments this year on defense. Like they're not completely bad, but the problem is it's not consistent at all. I mean, that Tennessee game was terrible. Like that was abysmal, and really the vast majority of the Ole Miss game was bad until the end. But yeah, that's fair. I mean, I've given Georgia a lot of flack for a lot of reasons, obviously, but I mean, that Ole Miss win was good. I mean, I can't deny that. It was a good win, and it makes the win look even better because Ole Miss won today. I still don't think Georgia's like legit. Like when we're talking like of the elite, that's why I keep referencing IU, A&M now. I mean, I got to give A&M their flowers. That was a great win. I still question them after the Arkansas game, but again, everybody has a bad game. Give them a pass. But Ohio State, IU, A&M, and maybe Bama. I mean, I think there's a drop off. I mean, Bama's kind of flirting on the line because they've been great. Today was rough, but they're there, right? And then like Georgia's and some of these other teams are just Ole Miss, like they're on the outside. They can rise up, I guess, but I'm still not seeing it.
We'll have to see. Georgia, the one thing you can always say about Georgia, though, is they still do have the top-notch talent. It's just that they maybe don't have as much depth as they did a couple years ago. But, I mean, we still are only a little bit more. Well, I guess we're close to two-thirds of the way through the season. But there's still room for more development. So Georgia's defense could all of a sudden get considerably better in the next 4 weeks, and maybe it becomes irrelevant or invalid, that is. Because maybe their defense will progress, but I don't see that happening with Ole Miss. I think there's a ceiling, and I just don't. I don't see it. But
Yeah.
we'll see. Sometimes you get proven wrong in life, so maybe I'll be wrong. If any Ole Miss fans are listening, they're thinking I'm a hater right now, and they're like, "Oh, he's so terrible. Watch, we're going to prove him wrong." But we'll see.
I don't disagree.
What else you got, Andrew?
You're good, Andrew. You can you can respond to that if you want.
What's your thoughts on Memphis?
Kansas State, or just Kansas themselves?
Just Kansas.
Well, I mean, I was shocked by the Kansas result today because I picked them. Kansas State has responded from their horrific start to the season. Like, they're not great or anything, but I mean, they are like 4-4 now. They probably are going to make a bowl, and it'd be hilarious if they end up 8-4 and Kleiman still has a solid year out of that because they look dead early in the season. But you know, they're starting to play better. But Kansas, though. I think it's interesting because a lot of people keep mentioning Leipold or Leopold, whatever, you know, for the bigger jobs. Like Penn State, you know, I mean, the guy is good. He's good, really good. And what he did at Kansas, turning them around, just like with Signetti and some of these other guys, is insane. But Kansas is starting to kind of fizzle a little bit, which is why people are like, that's why you need to make the jump when the opportunity is presented. Because people were saying that about Campbell a few years ago when Iowa State fell apart. Now they'll start saying it again now, probably, that they're falling apart. Like, oh, you need to leave because you're not doing good anymore. You've run your course at this little school. You did what you did, and then you run out of gas, kind of like Stoops at Kentucky and all these other examples. But Leopold, that's starting to occur. I don't know. They don't look that good. I've been a big backer of Kansas. I've picked them in a lot of games, and they don't win as many as they used to. They were better a couple years ago. They're not that great, and especially with Jalen Daniels being gone after this year, I mean, he's been hurt. I don't know. Kansas they kind of like they're going a little bit in the wrong direction. Again, still not an indictment on Leopold. He's done a fantastic job there, but it kind of seems like they need a little bit of a reset. You know, maybe the new star quarterback, possibly that he could figure out, maybe get in the portal or recruit. I don't know. You know, you change some staff. I don't know. They just don't look that great right now, though.
I think they're a disappointment. If you have to sum it up in one word, I'd say disappointment.
Absolutely. Big 12's not that great conference. Every team has the potential to be good technically because of that, and Kansas is toward the bottom of the league. It's not ideal. I mean, they're not West Virginia bad.
Go.
They're not decently good either.
My goodness, you would think that West Virginia, you think that they would be able to put it together in this NIL era. I mean, when you looked at the Big 12, like in terms of history and prestige of remaining teams, like West Virginia is like up there. I mean, maybe you could make an argument that Colorado, because Colorado does have a national title and they've had periods where they were pretty good throughout history, but like West Virginia has been like a consistently good team. And you know, you would think that like with NIL and some of the stuff, because they have like a big backing base and they have a great culture, they always have, and it's just shocking to me that they can't get it turned around. I guess maybe a lot of it is the coaching decisions that they made, holding on to Neil Brown, and now they're just in a bad situation, I guess. But we'll see what happens with Rich Rod if he can pull them back out of it.
Yeah, I've heard from actually a West Virginia like YouTuber himself, like Mountaineer Paul of Locked on West Virginia. You know, I was talking with him actually earlier this week, on Alabama Voice of College Football on our Collins show on Thursday night. He said, just saying his words. So I'm not, stealing like I'm not, what's the word, paraphrasing what he said or taking words out of his mouth. Like literally this is what he said, in quote, basically. That he thinks that like West Virginia like held off on using their NIL this season, so they're gonna suck, and that next season they're gonna have like double to quadruple of that, and they're gonna be able to get players, and they're gonna be a lot better. Now, I don't know. That's what he said. But I do agree with you that West Virginia, with the Big 12 being full of teams that are just kind of like whatever, there's massive potential, like I said, for every team to be good. But West Virginia, especially because of the historical factor, and they have a very die-hard fan base, not like Nebraska, but it's still pretty darn good for what it is. They're kind of like them and Virginia Tech, that niche like region of the country type of thing. You've got this weird thing where it's like they care. They don't. There's not a lot else around there. West Virginia don't have professional sports. They don't have much else going on. So West Virginia's got a pretty dedicated fan base, and they've been good before. It's not infeasible to see them being like ranked all the time and being one of the top 3 to 5 teams in the Big 12 on a consistent basis. But like I said, the problem with the Big 12 is literally that could be any program, though. UCF could be good in the Big 12 if they wanted to.
Right.
Cincinnati. I mean, Cincinnati's at the top right now. Now, I don't think anybody had on their bingo card Cincinnati being toward the top, considering Satterfield, but they are.
Oh, no.
Baylor, TCU, all these they're just like the run of the mill. K-State, run of the mill. Like all these teams can be good, can be not, can be good, can't, they're all over the place. I mean, Iowa State, they're all over the place. I mean, that league is just, people are like, oh, it's the most competitive league. Yeah, because it's a bunch of programs that are basically like the same. I'm sorry, but it is. Texas Tech now is the only one that's like trying to break away because of the massive amount of NIL that they've got going on down there. Even they're still struggling to separate themselves on the field with that Arizona State. I still think they are the best team in the league probably because of the town alone. But I don't know, man. The Big 12, like West Virginia's got basically to wrap it all back around. Sorry, I do that sometime where I just start talking about a bunch of other crap. Point is, back with West Virginia, they can be good if they want to be. But they aren't getting it done right now. I know a lot of West Virginia fans don't like that Ren Baker guy either. So I don't know. I don't really know what's going on there. They suck. So we'll see if next year they're better, as a lot of people are predicting.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me. I don't know when Texas and Oklahoma left the Big 12, I just assumed that I kind of thought that there would, because it kind of left a power vacuum when those two left, and then they started to backfill, and I was like, okay, this conference is going to survive because they still have a bunch of like mid-level teams that were decent, like your Oklahoma State, and now they have Utah and got Colorado back and all this stuff, and it's like I was always just kind of wondering like who's going to fill this power vacuum, like what team will rise and become like the new top dog in this conference. But now I'm starting to wonder if it's not just going to like perpetually be like a musical chairs from year to year of like, okay, this team's good, now this team's in the gutter, now they're good again, now they're in the gutter. And then it's like, I don't know, like, I mean, you look at like Kansas State, it just seems like it's the same thing every year. But maybe it's going to be BYU. I mean, BYU's the one team that's been consistent for the past 2 years, so we'll see if they can hold it together. I mean, that's also a team that does technically have a national title, and they have a dedicated fan base. I guess I'd put them somewhere close to West Virginia, maybe, in terms of history. But I think what West Virginia is the program that has, if you could point at one program and say, what's one program that never had a national championship team that is actually the best program, I think that you would, if you looked at most of the things that would be indicators of that, I think it's actually West Virginia. West Virginia, in my opinion, and from what I've researched and how I view it and watching college football is the best program all time without a national title. And better than some other programs as a whole that do have national titles.
I'd have to go and search more because that's something that I don't do sometimes with a lot of these programs like that. But that's something that I should do probably sometime. I need time to do that. But to do like what you said, going through all these programs, that would be something I would like to look at though. Be like, hey, like, what is every program like done? I like Mark Rogers' these deep breakdowns. He does a fantastic job with the program, like all-time rankings and stuff. He's incredible at that stuff. But yeah, West Virginia, that's interesting because you kind of get this determined notion like, hey, you got your blue bloods, and then you've got your teams that have a history and they've been good and maybe they won one or not, somewhere in that range type of teams, and then everyone else. It's just kind of interesting thing like West Virginia, like is one of the best teams without a title. I think the problem though with the Big 12, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, the issue is when you mention like power backing, the ACC, until if their conference dissolves or not, the ACC has brands. They've got brands. They have teams that are blue bloods and stuff, and they've been great in the past. They've got 3 national brands in Clemson and Florida State and Miami, and then North Carolina stinks, but the school is a juggernaut and stuff, and whatever, and I don't know, man. It's like the freaking Big 12, like you don't have anything. You don't have anything. I mean, not one program in that league is a national brand. I mean, Dion in Colorado, man, like, yeah, they won a title in 90, but they're trash. Like, they suck. I mean, they're getting completely wiped off the face of the earth right now, according to the score, 46-0. I mean, I like Utah, but BYU, BYU is such a weird. They're like an anomaly. Like everybody knows BYU, but they're not a national brand. I mean, it's a national brand. I mean, you're talking about a program that's like all over the country. People like value their existence. I don't know. I mean, I feel like people in Washington can value, Miami's existence at least. I just don't know. I just don't know if Utah does that.
Yeah, they don't have as much notoriety, but I think ironically, I think they are kind of a national brand in a different way because they kind of have the Mormon thing going on. How like a lot of people who are Catholics, like what do they call them, like the subway? I can't even remember, but like a lot of people that are Catholics like love Notre Dame regardless. Like that's the way my brother-in-law's family are. They're like, they're from here, they're from Columbus, but they all pull for Notre Dame because of the Catholic thing, because they're Catholic. And I think that there's some of that goes on because obviously the majority of the Latter-day Saints people are in Utah, but like a good amount of them, but they are all over the place now too. So
that is a great example you said. I mean, honestly, it is. I mean, I don't want to get into the semantics of religion at all, but I will say though that Catholicism, Catholics and stuff like that are a much bigger group.
Oh yeah, that's
of religious. Like they make up a lot bigger portion of
100%
people than
not even
Mormons and Latter-day Saints, stuff like that. They like it's not even close. So that is, I agree with you. That Utah and BYU kind of stuff they
on
have
a smaller scale
that effect, but it's at a very reduced rate versus very reduced rate versus Notre Dame. They're North Carolina, where I am, that are Notre Dame fans because they're Catholic, and that's cool. Yeah. But that makes that more of a national thing because of that. Right. Crazy Hip Hop Coles are saying he's got a question. He wants to share his thoughts. Right now, your devices are not connected, but I'll definitely will bring you on if you want to come on. We definitely got to get back hooked up. But yeah, that's a great point you made, Hummus. I mean, really, I mean, it's
Yeah,
something a lot of people don't think about.
They're
but
like Notre Dame probably. Once again, I don't know because I don't know a lot of Mormons myself, but like I would assume that like that travels a little bit. So like on a much smaller scale, they probably kind of have a little bit of that where they do have fans like in places you wouldn't expect just because there's little pockets of Mormons that are big football fans all over.
This dude right here, whatever his username is, number 17. Where is this hick from? I don't know if you're referring to me or Hummus on that one. Probably me, but I don't really care. So I'm just wondering why, you think that this dude probably thinks the ACC is legit, and I'm on the Big 12. You do realize that I've said probably 80 billion times on the channel. It's probably the first time you ever watched. Appreciate you for watching, by the way. Appreciate you for watching. Because appreciate everybody for watching, even if you hate everything I say. I appreciate it. I think both conferences suck. Because they do. Because the money's in the Big Ten and the SEC. I don't make the rules, dude. The SEC and the Big Ten got all the money. The ACC and the Big 12 kind of suck. I don't like it. I wish all the conferences were good like they used to. I liked it when the Big East was real. I liked it when the Pac-12 was real. I liked it when the Southwest Conference was real, and I wasn't even alive for that. But I liked it when college football you had a more equal conference, like they were equal, man. The rankings were like I don't know, you know what I'm trying to say? Like the conferences were basically all about the same in value. They were all pretty good, but you didn't have a dominant force. Not like you do now. The SEC and the Big Ten are the only two conferences that aren't crap now. I mean, the ACC and the Big 12 have no one cares about this result, dude. Arizona State stinks, man. And so does Texas for that matter this season. That doesn't even matter. That's not indicative of the entire Big 12. That means nothing. That's a cool result. And if Arizona State had a 1, amazing. But if you think that the SEC and the Big 12 are on the same playing field, then you obviously don't pay attention to economics at all. Because literally economics is what's playing all this, man. I don't make the rules. I don't like it. I hate it. I wish it wasn't like this. I wish the ACC and the Big 12 were competitive. But they're not. They're not even close. The only reason the Big 12 is competitive in football with each other is because all the teams are about the same. Except Tech, who's trying to break away, like I said, because of money. So again, if they keep spending the big bucks, the SEC might take them in. I don't know. But again, it's not me, dude. It literally is not me. Like, I'm telling the world how I feel about college football. I don't like it, what's going on half the time, but it is what it is. The ACC and the Big 12 are not competitive as a whole with the Big Ten and the SEC in any way. At all. Any facet. The only thing you can compare is one game. Oh, Arizona State almost beat Texas. Oh, yeah. Florida State beat Alabama in week 1. That's not saying that the ACC and the Big 12 are on the same playing field as the SEC and the Big 10. That's one freaking result, man. So, again, I appreciate you for watching. I hope you stick around. But to clear that air on that, again, I don't know where the hit comes from, but, cool. It's not the worst insult I've ever had. But I'm just saying, I don't understand that logic of me crapping on the Big 12. I don't crap on the Big 12. It's just facts that they're not that good. And I don't like it. They should have been able to keep Texas and Oklahoma. The Pac-12 should still exist. Oh, it still does exist, Jeff. No, it doesn't. It does not exist. That's a fake league. Whatever the heck they got going on, that's Mountain West. That's just Mountain West 2.0. That's just Mountain West trying to be a Power 5 league that will never be a Power 5 league. That's fake. It's dead. I wish it wasn't dead. I wish that USC was still in the Pac-12. I wish it still existed. It doesn't. So, Texas Tech, SEC. You laugh all you want, Mr. 17, but I'm telling you right now, dude, does anything surprise you at this point? With realignment? If the Big Ten and the SEC do expand further, then they will take these teams. And then the ACC and the Big 12 will get even crappier. Now, they might not, but if more money is involved and if Texas Tech can prove that they're committed to football and they're spending the big bucks, they will want to add them. But again, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't predict the future. I'm not Nostradamus, whether you believe in that or not. I'm not saying I do. I'm just saying that's what a lot of people say. It's a joke. It's funny. I don't freaking know. All I'm saying is that the Big 12 sucks because of money. What are your thoughts, Hummus, on all that?
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
You're good.
I think that I think a lot of it's money, but I think that there's also a second factor, and well, they're kind of tied. They're kind of intertwined, but I think a lot of it is just proximity to talent too. So you look at the programs that are still able to like potentially do what they're doing in those two leagues. Who is it? Texas Tech, Miami, Clemson, Florida State. What do these programs have in common? They have great proximity to talent. Clemson's close to Georgia. It's a hotbed of recruiting. Obviously, Florida and Texas, those schools have built an advantage. So, and you could throw UCF in there, and even look at what USF is doing right now, being in the American. They look pretty good, like talent wise. So, I think that's so. Like the reality is that when Texas left for the SEC, they took the flagship school from Texas away, and A&M, who's kind of little brother in that state, was already gone. You know what I mean? So like the two biggest football brands in Texas are no longer in the Big 12 or what used to be the Southwestern Conference, and it is what it is. Now they're in the SEC, and they're not there anymore. The same thing would happen to Ohio if Ohio State left. You'd be looking at Ohio and you'd say, oh well, now they're in the SEC, and Ohio's no good anymore. It's like, no, the talent's still there. They're just not in the Big Ten anymore. Which obviously isn't going to happen. I'm just saying.
Yeah, the Big Ten and the SEC aren't losing schools.
No,
because everyone wants to be in the league. You know what I'm saying?
And
like, it cracks me up. It's the same thing with like other areas of life where it's like you don't like something, you think no good, but yet you're involved in it. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like with sports, you're talking about the Big Ten and the SEC and people saying that they suck and blah, 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 blah. And there are people online that say that the Big 12 is better. Then why did everyone want to join the Big Ten and the SEC? Because it's better. Because it's more money. That's what.
I know recruiting's national now to a certain degree, but I mean, like, why did the programs that became good become what they were? Like, why was Ohio State always good at football? Like, going back 80 years. Why were they good? Because Ohio always produces tremendous football talent. Why are the Florida schools good? Same deal. Texas, yep. Alabama, Louisiana, they produce good talent. So, like, people overthink it to a certain degree. Like, the reason why the Big Ten became what it was in large part is because of Ohio State and Michigan, and then eventually Penn State. They got the big TV contract because the teams were good, and they were good because they were homegrown talent a lot of the time. I mean, like look at like Michigan right now. Bryce Underwood's a Michigan product. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying Michigan has the best talent in the world, but they have better talent than Kansas. Same thing with
they got more people than Kansas. I mean, there's not people in Kansas. I mean, and there's a reason why Idaho, Boise, but Montana doesn't have well-known football teams. I don't think there's a lot of players in Montana. I don't think there's a lot of players in Idaho. There's just not. You're right. Underwood was a Michigan product.
They overthink this. They're overthinking it. It's like, no, it's not all everybody out to get you. And like, yeah, money's a component when it comes to the TV contracts, but like a lot of it still is proximity to talent. Things have changed to a certain degree, but it was one thing was leading into another. It was always that way, like, and I know you could say bagmen this and that and whatever, but like the good schools got the good talent a lot of the times because they were close by. Like national recruiting has always been to some degree a thing. And now, don't get me wrong, it's exaggerating things. I'm not saying that that's the case. It definitely is with NIL and the bigger TV contracts and all that stuff. Exposure.
Well, I mean, the other problem is too, like you said, how Ohio State has propped up the Big Ten, and for a lot of history, they have. because the other programs have kind of come and gone. You know, I mean, Wisconsin had their little era. Iowa's been good old Iowa. Michigan's had moments, obviously, of being elite. They got Penn State to join, and Penn State's Penn State. But it's like, other than that, yeah, Ohio State's propped up the league and made it look a lot better. You know, and people will talk about, in the 2010s, the SEC really wasn't that good, but Alabama propped up the league because it kept winning national championships. Well, that might be true, but they still had other good teams in the league that Alabama had to beat to get there. But again, you know, you look at the ACC. Clemson won those 2 national championships in the 2010s, Florida State in 2013. That made the ACC look a little better. I don't think they have a national championship type of team right now. You know, you just don't have that, right? You're talking about Miami as your national championship contender, and that team is not a national championship contender. I just laugh and remember when people were saying that they were number 2 in the nation. Miami's going to do no. So yeah, the ACC doesn't have a national championship type of team right now, and the Big 12 definitely doesn't. So, you know, it makes it look bad. If you take even the money out of it, it's just the conferences right now, those two do not have a national championship contending team. And that makes you look bad.
Miami's borderline. I think Miami, I don't know.
They should be, Hummus, but they're not.
I'll admit it. Like, I think that Miami's talent is definitely better than it has been since. And somebody tried to play on my words when I said this before. I said Miami's talent's the best that it's been since the early 2000s. And I'm not saying, and they said, oh no, they were way better, you know. And it's like, I didn't say that they were I said it's as good as it has been since then. I didn't say it was equal to, and definitely not surpassing that. But I think that this is the most talented Miami roster that we've seen in at least 20 years. You know what I mean? But the consistency is a thing, and we'll just have to see. Because sometimes, like, you're watching them, and literally from points of the game, they look terrible. Like, I was watching the beginning of the Stanford game tonight, and they looked terrible at the beginning of the game. It's like just terrible. Entire first half, they couldn't move the ball, really. They just looked bad. And then at the end of the game, apparently I got bored with it and turned it off. But they really put it on them later on in the game. So, like, even within a game, they're very inconsistent still. But I do think that I think they have a higher ceiling, definitely, than anybody else in the ACC and definitely in the Big 12, including Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech is just kind of I don't know. I think it's kind of smoke and mirrors, honestly. I don't think that they're that good. I think that they're just kind of they're beating up on once again. This person that's listening to us is probably gonna be outraged by this, but I think they're beating up on a bunch of teams that really just aren't as good as you think.
Yeah, they're not. It sucks. Like, it really sucks to say that because, again, I would love in a perfect world, you know, for the Big 12 and the ACC to be just as good as the SEC and the Big 10 and the Pac-12 and all, and again, all that stuff. You know, I would love that. But I mean, it's just, you know, I don't know. Like, it just isn't the facts. It just isn't there. I cannot these conferences like other people do when the results are not there. I mean, if the Big 12 had 3 or 4 teams right now that I personally believe could win a national championship, then I would be sitting here right now telling you. But they don't. They have 0. They have absolutely 0. BYU, Jackson. Oh, they're 8-0. Yeah, they're 8-0. They look good, and I believe in them, and they're going to go 11-1. And I'm like, dude. I mean, I respect Jackson's opinion, and he might be right that they could go 11-1, but that doesn't mean that they're good, man. On the same level of good as Ohio State or Alabama or Indiana, or Georgia, Oregon, whatever. They're A&M. They're not. I mean, it sucks. I hate that. I wish they were. Like, me saying that they're not is not me being like, yes, BYU is not good. Yes, Texas Tech is not good. I am so freaking glad Miami's not national championship good. No, that's not me saying that because I'm happy about it. It's just because they're not. And again, like you said, Miami's the only one that you can even borderline defend because they at least have the talent, right? Indiana's the exception because they don't technically have the talent. They're just winning. And we'll see. But Indiana's no 5 stars. Typically, you need 5 stars to win. I know people say it's not about the stars. Yes, it is. Michigan was a different thing. They still had a couple 5 stars in 2023, but they had the super seniors and everybody came back. That was, whatever.
No, they still
lost to Bama.
They still had a top 15 roster.
They still had a top 15 roster, yes.
Indiana's
it still wasn't like Ohio State level roster, and it was not.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't what we typically see from the national champion. But like
LSU 2019 was just cracked.
Yeah, it was borderline with what Michigan did. I think one of the Clemson teams was kind of in the same range where they were kind of like 10 to 15 range when you look at like, I think it's Bud Elliott from CBS Sports that does the team talent compositor. He started doing that, or blue chip ratio or whatever. And those teams were like kind of borderline, like basically everybody's been, I think, in the top 15. But Indiana is firmly out of it. Like if you look at,
I think I read that Indiana has the 72nd best roster in college football.
It's insane. It's insane.
It's insane.
But the thing is that like apparently like Cignetti's like a wizard when it comes to this portal acquisition, talent acquisition with what would you call it, evaluation? Like his evaluations are like spot on, or whoever they have that's doing their scouting, like his scouting. Maybe there's like a scouting guru there, and they just know how to pick them. You know what I mean? Because you can't really like marry these two things and say that this is like there's something that's missing here. You know what I mean? Like you can't be that good and literally. I'm sorry, but Indiana does not have the 70th most talented roster in the country. It's not the case. Like I don't care how many 4 stars or 5 stars it says they have, like 0, I think 5 stars, and like only a handful of 4 stars. Like that's not the case. Like you just said, they're gonna have 5, 6, 7, 8 players drafted off of this team this year. You know what I mean? Like they're not. It's not going to be like Ohio State or Georgia, like with record numbers, but like they're going to have a good amount of guys drafted. When you watch them, you see NFL talent on the field, and so. But I don't know. This is another thing that's probably going to start to become a little bit more confusing as we continue to progress into the NIL era. Is some teams are going to really dedicate themselves to talent evaluation as much as acquisition. And you could say that it's going to not be as long lived, but if you're really good at it and you have it down to a science, maybe it will be. Then also it'll feed into it. Like I was saying before, how Indiana needs to put up those big numbers to gain eyeballs on them, because then kids are going to be growing up, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids right now, when they're starting to get their recruiting letters, they're going to be like, oh my goodness, I just got Indiana, look at what they're doing, and then all of a sudden, you're just not having to go to the portal to get really good talent. Now you're recruiting and you're in battles with Ohio State and Alabama. You know what I mean? For this talent. And the other thing is Indiana actually does have a decent amount of talent. Like Ohio State always has good players on their team from Indiana. Notre Dame has good players. Michigan has good players from Indiana. Like they're not like a top 5 or 6. They're not Ohio. They're not Florida. They're not California. But like they're a good talent producing state. So like they're like top 15 talent producer. So like if they could kind of build a wall around the state also more, which I know is harder to do now also, but like if they could just keep more of their own talent in state, like they have a high, and that's why people were once again trying to call me out when I was saying that Penn State I don't think is really, I was saying it was a lateral move, and people were like saying for Cignetti to go to Penn State. And I said, just look at it right now. Obviously, it's not that much of a better job, if any. You know what I mean? Maybe lateral move in terms of like prestige when you think about it sounds crazy. But like if you're able to do what you're doing at Indiana right now, I think the proof is in the pudding. Like how much better could it be? Like realistically, so I don't know. It's a strange thing. It's kind of a phenomenon.
I agree, it is. I mean, what Indiana's doing is a phenomenon. I think that the 72nd ranking was from high school recruiting ranking. Yeah, if you're because again, like Elijah Surratt was a 0-star player. Fernando Mendoza was a 2-star recruit. Yeah, like if you're going off all that, then like IU's 2 most talented players coming out of high school recruiting rankings wise are Omar Cooper Jr. and EJ Williams, and they're not even the best receiver on the team. Omar Cooper was a 4-star, and he committed to Tom Allen, and from Lawrence North High School, and EJ Williams came from Clemson, and he was a high 4-star recruit out of high school, but he got several injuries at Clemson, so he transferred to IU, and he's had several injuries at IU until this season. And this is last year, and he's finally playing well. Other than that, 4 stars, yeah, it's nobody. I mean, the thing is that if you're going off the evaluation part of it, though, like you said, when you're talking about guys that were nobodies coming out of high school, but then they put up good statistics in college, like Fernando Mendoza did at Cal. Fernando Mendoza was one of the highest ranked players in the portal this past offseason. Why? Because he did really good at a crappy school. So his evaluation has changed from being a 2-star quarterback and basically like the 136th ranked quarterback in the 2022 class to now he's thought of as a top 5 quarterback, at least in the portal in this offseason, to now a Heisman contender. So your evaluation can change. It's just how often can you as a coach like Cignetti just hit on all these nobody players that no one thought of a time or day until now? It can happen, I think, more often because of the portal, but you see like Florida State, how you can have a bad portal haul. Now, again, Cignetti versus Norvell, talent evaluation might be completely different. But still, I think that to what you're trying to say about IU building like a sustainable thing, winning recruits against Ohio State and stuff more often, I think that this success IU's having now with these teams and how it all just came together with these 2 stars and 3 stars, Indiana is going to have to find a way to be able to win some of those battles for those 4 and 5-star guys, sprinkle those in more, or eventually they're going to have a bad haul. Eventually some of those talent evaluations are not going to hit as well. So maybe they're going to have to get a guy that they really don't think is good, but there was no one else. And then fall back to 7 and 5. For it to be sustainable, I think Indiana is going to have to continue the incredible talent evaluation that they have for these underrated guys while sprinkling in some actually legit players.
Right.
In there.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Because if not, I do think it's going to drop. That's why I'm more impressed with Cignetti than Ryan Day. Not saying that he's better than Ryan Day or not, but I am more impressed because what Indiana is doing should not be happening. What Ryan Day is doing is supposed to happen. And he's doing it, but any coach with that talent should win. Because Ohio State is probably the best roster in college football, like bar none. They're supposed to win. What Cignetti is doing with the 72nd best roster that has been evaluated to be better is just no. Who else is doing it? But is it sustainable? Can he keep doing that? That's why, like, whatever his name is, that Monshun Sales guy, that receiver in 2027, who's IU Ohio State. That would be a really good one for Indiana to win. That would be a really good one for Indiana to win. He's from Lawrence North. He's from Indiana. It'd be great to win. To say, hey, Indiana can finally win a 5-star. I don't know, though, because I still think he's going to go to Ohio State because it's Ohio State. But guys like that, IU needs to probably start to win sometimes in the future, or Cignetti might not be able to keep this up eventually. I don't know. Maybe he can. But with the roster they have, they should not be this good. All these guys, can it continue?
This would be my analogy. It would be like you look at Ryan Day and you would say that like Ryan Day would be like a chef in a 5-star rated Michelin star, whatever you call it, restaurant. You know what I mean? And he's making this amazing souffle or whatever it might be, and you're like, oh, this is so good, it's so amazing. And like what you're saying is like, yeah, you should. You know what I mean? You're in the best kitchen that. You have all the best kitchen tools and all the best ingredients. Whereas Cignetti, he'd be, and I'm not saying Indiana's like the Cracker Barrel or Bob Evans or something like that. But like that's like the analogy. Like he's like a cook in there, and he's making something that's like close to, if not on par, as the person in the 5-star restaurant. Which is shocking. So which is cool. It's cool to see. And it should give people of other teams hope. That hey, if we do this right and we find a good coach and it could happen. If Indiana can do it, then other teams can do it, So it's pretty cool. But
For
hey,
sure.
Jeffrey,
I mean, teams like Georgia Tech and Vandy don't have a lot of really highly rated players either, and they're winning. I still think like Georgia Tech, the conference they're in's helping, but
conference and also once again proximity to talent. So a lot of the times what happens in states like Ohio and Georgia, I think it's part of what gave rise to Cincinnati when they were really good as a G5 team. In states like Ohio and Georgia, there's so much talent that guys slip through the cracks. You know what I mean? Because they're evaluating in some of these leagues, like you look at it like the OCC and the Catholic League up in northeastern Ohio, for example. There's just so many good players. So a lot of the times you're looking at it, and then a guy's a late bloomer. So like Arvell Reese, he was a highly rated guy coming out of the Ohio State linebacker that's like shooting up draft boards right now. And he was like a top 100-ish guy, but he wasn't like top 10 like he should have been. You know what I mean? Like realistically. So like that sort of thing happens, and it happens with guys that are like rated as a top 500 guy and they're really top 100 and so on down the line. In places like Georgia, the talent's it's on another level than even Ohio. There's so many guys that slip through the cracks. So the frequency of seeing your 3-star guy that ends up like better than a 5-star happens more often. Like a lot of the times you stick out like a sore thumb when you're like really, really talented in a place like Iowa or whatever. That's why you're Caden Proctor or you're who's the safety that Iowa has right now, Nwampa or whatever his name is. Like they're from Iowa and they're like, okay, can't miss, obviously. Like they make everybody look foolish when they're in one of those places. But when the competition's so much higher, you just might not get noticed. It's just a simple reality. So that's definitely part of it, I think, when it comes to Georgia Tech. They probably have a lot of homegrown talent that were just like kind of under the radar. I don't know. I have to look at their roster, but I would assume that might be part of why they're pretty good right now. And once again, evaluation. Smart coaches and scouts know what to look for. So, but Georgia Tech's interesting.
for sure.
We'll
Yeah,
see. I think they're a team that will probably, if everything does end up at a true Power 2, and we end up seeing the SEC and the Big Ten kind of like separate and maybe even like not play for a championship with the others, I think Georgia Tech will be on the inside of that. I just do. I think that they're one of the teams that will have a seat, just because they have the history and once again they have the Atlanta market, and I think they'll probably be included. But some people
there's not a lot of teams left, Thomas, that probably would be. That's the thing. I mean, when the moves were made with USC, Oregon, Washington, UCLA, and then Texas, Oklahoma, I mean, you're leaving out a lot. You're not leaving a lot left, rather, of teams that I don't think Big Ten or SEC would even want to acquire. I mean, you're getting it down to, like you said, Georgia Tech because of the history and where they're at, and they're good right now. That helps. But yeah. And the academic stuff, I mean, that's good. Georgia Tech, Carolina, Clemson, Florida State, Miami, and Texas Tech.
Probably Virginia.
Virginia's definitely possible, yeah. I mean, after that, I mean, yeah, South Florida, you go to the Big 12. But, I mean, if you're talking about Big 10 SEC acquisitions, I mean, yeah, that's about it. I mean, I
think it's mainly
a lot else.
ACC. It's mainly ACC teams.
Like yeah, that's why the ACC is better than the Big 12. Like, there's more teams in the ACC that those conferences would want.
They're going to look at what has value. So you could, because people have said for a long time that Kansas could potentially be a fit in the SEC. and especially with their being one of the true blue bloods for basketball. Like they
have invested more in football. But
they add something a little bit different, and they kind of fit too with what the SEC's wanted to do as being contiguous with their schools. So because they border Missouri, and they're not southeastern, but like it kind of feels like it wouldn't be that strange too. So I think maybe Kansas could, and also with the Big Ten, but I just don't know if the Big Ten would want Kansas, because I think they already have teams in that general area, and I just don't know. But I think that it's mainly ACC schools. I could see Kansas out of the Big 12 and potentially Oklahoma State, but I don't know if Oklahoma State adds enough. I don't know, but I think it's mainly ACC teams. Like I see half of the ACC basically moving into the Power 2, and the other ones, going wherever. So I think that's what'll probably happen.
Yeah, that's why, like, if you're a program like Virginia Tech, the time is now, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, if you want to be a part of this thing, whatever college football becomes, if it does break away and you're in a tier 1, tier 2 type of crap, if it does go to that type of thing, if you're a program like Virginia Tech, man, you got to get your crap together right now. Like, if you want to be good, then you got to invest a whole lot of money into your program and get good, because if not, you're done. I mean, because Virginia Tech, like, you talk about history and all that, they, Beamer, they've sucked for like a decade now. Like the ACC, like you said, I mean, the surefire ones are Clemson, Miami, Florida State, and then Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Virginia, I mean, Duke, because, academics, basketball, Duke. I mean, if Carolina went to the Big Ten, you kind of probably want to drag Duke. You probably, kind of like USC, UCLA, you probably want to do that. I don't know if they would. But, I mean, after that, it's like, I mean, like Boston College, Syracuse, man, you're done. Like Virginia Tech, I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, North Carolina is the absolute one. Crazy as it sounds, because they don't really have the football pedigree, but North Carolina, just because of where they're at, because as the population in your state's growing so rapidly.
Oh yeah.
And the talent's already there, so like everybody wants to have the flagship school in North Carolina. Like, they have a seat in whichever conference they want immediately. You know what I mean? Like, they just do. And probably realistically, Florida State would probably be able to choose their conference too, I would assume. But I don't think it's a slam dunk. I think that there would be reasons that the SEC, a lot of those teams would try to, like, I know Florida and Georgia wouldn't want Florida State in the SEC. They don't want that. They're both too close.
Yeah.
They're right in between both of them, and they don't want them in the SEC. Of course not. So, like, there's going to be obstacles, but I don't think anybody would have an objection from the SEC or the Big Ten to North Carolina joining. Like, great school, great talent pool, TV markets, all that stuff. They check every single box other than prestige when it comes to the actual football.
But, I mean, that can be created. I mean, Indiana.
Right.
Indiana was nothing. And I've always said that Indiana could be good in football. I said this years ago. They could be good. I mean, all they had to do was actually commit. Indiana's got the money. Indiana's got the alumni, the donors, the fans, if they want to care. I know Steven's losing his mind right now. But, I mean, they did. They had the potential to be good. And North Carolina absolutely does. I mean, in this era, the rules that are being in place that everyone's going by right now. Yes, North Carolina, I mean, heck, they're paying Bill Belichick $10 million a year right now. They got the money. They can win if they actually hire someone that don't suck. It's definitely possible. Indiana, when you're the flagship school with a lot of alumni and a lot of academics and a lot of moolah, you're probably going to have a shot to win. So yeah, Carolina definitely could. How do you feel about NC State? Do you think NC State's cooked? Is there any chance for NC State in any of those two?
I think that like NC State and Duke are both in a similar situation with North Carolina. Like, do they want to try to force conference's hand? Like, you have to drag, but then like I doubt North Carolina would be able to pull that much weight and say we're bringing them both. But I think that they would probably be able to say to the Big Ten, hey, we want to join your conference, but we want a travel partner and we want to bring NC State with us or we want to bring Duke with us. I think that would be realistic. I don't see the SEC adding 2 Carolina schools for some reason. I just think it'd be redundant because I think North Carolina actually adds something else also different for the Big Ten, is it kind of brings them into a new region because that is the Southeast, like firmly Southeast, and for the Big Ten it would really do that too. It would put them in the Southeast. So like with the SEC, I don't think it really adds that element as much. So I don't know if they would go for that unless they really just wanted to. I think Duke would be more likely because they maybe would look at it as, hey, we're going to add 2 of the ultimate blue blood basketball schools and 2 of the only basketball programs that really generate revenue. You know what I mean? So, which the Big Ten could definitely use that. You know what I mean? Like, goodness, for basketball, the Big Ten could really use the infusion of bringing Carolina and Duke in. That's for sure.
Yeah, the problem the Big Ten's had in basketball is that their brand team has been trash. That's the problem. Indiana has not been good in basketball since Bob Knight and Kelvin Sampson getting fired. They've been terrible. So, and then UCLA they added, but they're not, UCLA anymore. They haven't been in them forever.
All of the historically good, like Indiana's like the true blue blood out of the Big Ten, but like Michigan State and Ohio State are like the next rung down. And realistically, like they've been like Michigan State's consistent, but like they're not ever like, I don't know, they're never great. And Ohio State obviously had huge peaks where they were close to winning national titles, like just as close as anybody in the Big Ten. But they've been pretty bad now for half of a decade basically, and I don't know. So like it's just definitely could use some type of infusion, and that would be probably a good thing. I mean, you never know. Like the Big Ten might finally win another national title this year, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I mean, Purdue's the leader, and Purdue doesn't win. They get close, they don't win. Outside of that, I mean, Indiana's not going to be very good this year again, probably. I mean, it's the first year of DeVries. I mean, maybe they'll be better.
We'll see what happens.
State probably will be very regressed.
Season starts in about a little over a week, so
yeah, I'm excited about it. I love college basketball too. I mean, Carolina, they're not what they were with Roy Williams, which is sad for me, but Hubert's all right, I guess. I mean, and then Indiana sucks, but I still watch them, hoping that they'll get better. And Alabama, like they're the best team out of the 3 right now. But yeah, I mean, I love college basketball. I mean, I think Indiana can get good in basketball again, but they've just hired bad people. I mean, I think DeVries has a chance. I mean, he did good at Drake. And I mean, they would have made the tournament last year if his son hadn't got hurt, and if the NCAA didn't screw him out of the tournament, because they should have got in. But I mean, Indiana has a lot of potential to be good in basketball. Yeah, I mean, like it's like this: Indiana lost to 5-star Thompson, Ohio State. 2 problems with that. I think number one, that I think Indiana is spending so much on the football team. Yeah, that possibly is why they weren't able to get him. I've also heard that Ohio State spent a lot of money to get him. I also think Indiana has other recruits that they're still looking at for the same position, so it wasn't necessarily a priority for them to land him. Plus, I think that guy was from Ohio, right?
Yeah, he's from Ohio.
So, I mean, there's a lot of factors there. Congratulations for landing him. And plus, I mean, he kind of gives me Xavier Booker vibes. I'm not saying he's going to be Xavier Booker, but if you remember Xavier Booker, that lanky guy that went to Michigan State, he kind of wasn't good. You know, I think Thompson can be better, but he's kind of small. Like he's got to bulk more, man. I don't know. I'm not concerned about that. I mean, plus Indiana just I don't know, man. They haven't been good a long time. They don't have the pull as much anymore. I think DeVries is going to have to remanufacture the pull to get Indiana to get really good players. I mean, all the guys they landed in the portal this past offseason are guys that no one wanted. The only guy that was like nationally recruited was that Lamar Wilkerson guy. Kentucky wanted him. I think IU paid him a little more because Kentucky didn't need him. So, yeah, DeVries followed because his son, Tucker DeVries, and the rest of the dudes were like mid-major dudes. So IU's not really, they don't really have that great of a roster. I think that they're underrated little guys, but I don't know. We'll see. I think IU can maybe make the tournament, but the thing is, what has Diebler done at Ohio State basketball? I'm not impressed with Diebler outside of that intern stint. The intern stint, he was great, and then since being coach, he's been trash. So we'll see. Again, I'm not saying Thompson's not good. By the way, I'm not saying Ohio State's not good, like to get back basketball players, like they've had success, but that probably was an NIL issue. Good job. Like, I think they were able to land him through that. But Indiana needs Rick Pitino. If you've seen if you have paid attention to the Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier situation with the betting thing, a lot of those roads lead back to Rick Pitino, and I bet you $1 million if Indiana hired Rick Pitino, they would end up firing him over all of that, and then Indiana would do it again like Kelvin Sampson. So I'm okay.
Really? It's leading back to Pitino? I didn't hear that.
Well, a lot of the players that are involved in the scandal were playing for Rick Pitino. I'm not saying Rick Pitino is going to get in trouble for any of that. And I like Rick Pitino as a coach, not any of the other stuff. But as a coach, I think he's good. But the thing is that Indiana got in trouble for Kelvin Sampson over some phone calls. I just think that if Indiana hires somebody that's got a background as as Rick Pitino, I think that IU would get in trouble for it. There's some schools that don't get in trouble for stuff like that. We know this. Indiana would. I just think that if Indiana hired Rick Pitino, that Indiana would get massive crap. They'd be a massive dupe. It would be bad. It would be catastrophic. So that's just my opinion on that.
And it's not a good
long. Has gotten in trouble a lot at Kansas.
That's not a good long.
He never gets fired. He never gets fired or in trouble outside like a 2-game suspension. Indiana just to me, I think that Rick Pitino would get massively in trouble at IU.
It wouldn't be a good long-term hire anyways. He's getting up there in age.
Bobby Knight was not a saint in the way you're saying, Steven. He was not a saint in the hitting people thing. But when it comes to cheating stuff, he didn't cheat. Okay? He didn't cheat. We know he didn't cheat because most of the players that he had were not even good NBA players. Like if you look at the track record from Indiana basketball in their heyday in the 70s, like UCLA had all those 5 stars of their era. They weren't 5 stars because they weren't ranked 5 stars then, but the guys were studs in the NBA. Whereas Indiana, you had Isaiah Thomas who went there because of his mom. And other than that, yeah, I don't think Alford had a good NBA career, or Woodson had a good NBA career. Calvert Chaney had a good NBA career. Those guys weren't even like elite or anything. I just think that Bob Knight was an insane schematics coach. There was one dude that tells a story about Bob Knight that his entire existence was to screen. He never shot the ball. The dude just screened because Bob Knight was like, "You're gonna screen, and if you're not gonna screen for this dude, then you're getting benched." And he screened for Chaney. So the guy literally, dude. I don't know, man. I think that Bob Knight, he wasn't a saint in other ways, but it wasn't with cheating. Oh, and Hummus, sorry. I get fired up with Bob Knight slander because the dude has problems, yes. But when it comes to coaching, the dude was a genius. When it comes to cheating, he didn't cheat. But when it comes to other stuff, he had issues, yes.
I don't know if Stevens. He's probably not. As Buckeye fans, we have to partially take responsibility for Bob Knight, anyways. So like, don't forget he's a Buckeye. Like before he was a Indiana Hoosier coach, he learned a lot of his mentality from Woody Hayes. So he notoriously used to sit in on meetings when he was a player at Ohio State. He was always interested. He probably knew he wanted to pursue coaching, and he didn't just learn from Fred Taylor. He learned from Woody Hayes. So, not obviously not about basketball, but about kind of that authoritarian, which I don't know. Woody gave a lot of tough love and was a really good guy, like for all of his faults and his crazy temper and stuff like that. And maybe some of Bob Knight's players would tell you the same thing too.
Isaiah Thomas swears that he was a great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, all I know is that Isaiah Thomas, you can go back and listen to his podcast about it that he did with somebody years ago. Isaiah Thomas said his mom wanted him to play for Bob Knight because his words, his childhood was not good, okay? It was just not that good, right? It was not that good of a situation, sadly. And his mom was like, that guy is going to set you in the right direction. So he goes to IU, and while he's at IU, his best friend that lived next door in Chicago was shot and killed a couple nights before the national championship game in 1981. So he was sad and like devastated and afraid for his mom and a lot of other stuff. And Bob Knight helped him get through that. And Isaiah Thomas swears by this to this day that he was not a bad person. Again, I understand that Bob Knight had a lot of problems. And I also know a story, too, about Bob Knight where one of Indiana's players got paralyzed in a car accident in the mid-'80s. And Bob Knight essentially contacted the NBA to basically, hey, draft this guy, because back then there was like 8 rounds of the draft. And one of the franchises drafted the guy, the final pick of like the 8th round of the draft, because Bob Knight basically told him, you're drafting this guy, because he was going to get drafted and his career ended and he lived the rest of his life in a wheelchair. So, I mean, again, there's, if we're going to defend Woody Hayes, which again is fair because Woody Hayes is an incredible coach and he's got a lot of stories that are positive besides the brutality side, the brutal side of Woody Hayes. I can do the exact same thing about Bob Knight because I know a lot of Bob Knight history because I've been frankly very intrigued by the guy since I was a kid. Never saw the dude coach. It's just because when I was a kid and I asked people about Indiana and Bob Knight and people would just tell me the dude was a terrible human being, I wanted to learn more about the guy. And what I take away from Bob Knight, from all the research that I've done and all the podcasts that I've listened to from former Indiana players, is that he was a flawed man. Like 99% of people, really everybody. He had problems, and yeah, his temper got the best of him. And yeah, he had his bad moments, but there was a lot of positivity in there as well. There's a lot of positivity in there. So that's my takeaway. Again, everybody on the planet can hate him, but you do the same for Woody. It go both ways. I think that both Bob Knight and Woody Hayes had good and bad. I don't know who's better or who's worse. I don't know. I don't know either of them. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But I think that we can do it for both.
Yeah, and just what they provided to the players that they coached. I mean, obviously, if it came down to like actual physical abuse, then that's pretty bad. But like, like the
and I don't defend that stuff because it's wrong.
Yeah, some of the incidents that both of them were involved in, there's no like really. But once again, two things can be, or not everything is mutually exclusive or whatever the term is. So like, you know, you could be abusive to some people, and you could also have helped a lot of other people. You know, so like you said, most people are a combination of both. Maybe not so extreme, but also most people aren't in the public eye like that. You know what I mean? And they're not charged with the task of not only winning athletic events, but also partially shaping young men. You know, which is tricky. You know, as any parent or you know, uncle or teacher or whatever you might be, where you're dealing with young people, knows it's not easy. So.
Yeah, and you want to know something I think is interesting too, Hummus, and this is a really big aspect of the Woody Hayes, because they get compared a lot, Woody Hayes and Bob Knight, for a lot of reasons, is that you think that of Woody Hayes, he coached at Ohio State until 1978. And that was a completely different time. And you talk about the fact that he was coaching football, which was notoriously known for brutality, and in the 40s, the dropouts of the military and all that, and they wearing those wood helmets or whatever, and they just beating the crap out of each other, and people, it was just brutality. And that was the 40s. I mean, Woody Hayes was alive for that, you know, and pretty well kicking at that time. But like 50s, 60s, 70s coaching, completely different time. Bob Knight coached from 1971 at Indiana until 2000, and then he coached Texas Tech till 2008. The problem is that he coached basketball, which is not known as a brutality sport where people are just doing crap like that, number one. And number two, a lot of the stuff that he got in trouble for, because even in the 80s with the chair, that was cool. Everyone thought that was cool. The chair, the 85 chair, that's legendary. People love the chair. They still talk about the chair. The chair will always be cool. But then with the player incident they had where he got fired in 2000, over essentially is what we've come to find out, that a student was very, like, he had a student incident around that time, like 98, where a student was rude to him and he pushed him down, which was wrong, but still. And then the player incident in 2000 where he got in trouble for that. And then he got fired. Then he goes to Texas Tech and has 0 incidents from 01 to 08. Nothing happens. Literally nothing happens. But he got in trouble in an era where the times were changing. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying that's why his reputation is at.
Oh yeah, no, there's absolutely something.
That's how much people hate this guy. I have read articles from mainstream like newspapers that have literally compared Bob Knight to Satan, practically. He was a devil, and that he's right now rotting in the pits of fire. Seriously. But Woody Hayes is great. He's just amazing dude. It's like, again.
Yeah. Well,
thing about Woody Hayes versus Bob Knight, I don't know who's better as a person. That's debatable. But I'm just saying that if Bob Knight coached at a different time, it would have been okay. I'm not saying that it is okay. But he got in trouble because of when it happened and the sport he was in, which was a less brutality sport. You think about it, like Talib, right? Aqib Talib. People hated that dude. Vontaze Burfict in the NFL. If those dudes played back in the freaking 80s, it'd have been okay. Brian Bosworth was brutal. And now people love him in Fansville. But the thing is, when players got in trouble for stuff in 2010 and 2005, it was a lot different than 1985, 1965. It's different.
Absolutely.
It just is. I'm sorry, but people need to understand that.
Those guys are nothing compared to Bill Romanowski. Like, my goodness.
But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Like, towards the second half of Bob Knight's career, and definitely like the final third of his career, was a point where almost everything he was doing was being recorded. It was being captured. Whereas like a lot of the crazy stories about Woody Hayes are just that. They're just stories. There's no actual evidence. So like the story where he like tried to like choke or whatever, or actually lift him. I think it was the Big Ten commissioner. He lifted him up off of the ground by his neck, like something like. There's all kinds of crazy stories about Woody Hayes, but you don't know where the truth ends and where, like, I actually have a little bit of insight because my grandpa was he knew Woody really well. My grandpa was on the athletic board and was a professor at Ohio State, basically the exact same time frame that Woody was there, like the whole time. So, and he would tell us a little bit about Woody. He'd never talked too much about him, but they were kind of the similar kind of guy, and it was kind of that kind of era where it was just kind of like that tough, no nonsense type of mentality. And you even saw it from academics. Like, you wouldn't think, my grandpa taught astronomy, but you wouldn't think that he would have been that same type of mentality. But a lot of it was just simply how those guys grew up. Like, born into the Depression, and most of them all fought in the war and all that kind of stuff. And, they were just kind of like that, so, yeah. But at any rate, just kind of an interesting thing where people now, everything that they do is recorded, and it's easier to kind of make light of it or whatever when you didn't actually see it happen. You know what I mean? And also more time passed too. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, everything is recorded now. And I mean, just because everything's recorded, I mean, somebody does something bad does not make them a bad person. Everybody does things that they shouldn't do. It's just now, like, people have a really hard time getting away with stuff now. I'm not saying that getting away with stuff is good. I'm just saying that everyone in the public space, and coaches and players in the public space, it can be seen. Like Travis Kelce getting into it with Andy Reid, any example. Like, to get back to, like, Steven's question here, my whole point is why I bring up Pitino faults. What I'm talking about with Pitino is that Pitino's a great coach. Like Bob Knight and like Woody Hayes. Yeah, I like Bob Knight because he was a great coach. Yeah, I do. I don't like Bob Knight for his issues. I like the Bob Knight part where he's actually a great coach and studying the game from his lens. But I don't like the negative stuff. No. But when it comes to, like, Rick Pitino and some other coaches in college basketball, you've got pretty good evidence that there's a lot of cheating accusations. And obviously the Louisville thing with the scandal stuff. I'm not saying anything about Pitino's coaching ability because it's incredible. But again, if Pitino was back in the 50s, this wouldn't matter. But we're in 2025. Everything matters now on Saturday. But I mean, yeah, again, you can say that about any coach. I'm just saying that Pitino can't work at IU because he'll get in trouble at IU. I think that certain schools that Rick Pitino can work at because they're not gonna. He's gonna be fine at St. John's, but he's not gonna be fine in Indiana. Even though he would do great at Indiana. But I understand what you're saying, Steven, but I mean, I don't know.
I just don't think they want that. I don't think that they want that image of, like you said, I am not saying that Pitino has the worst baggage, but like, A, he's getting up there in age. B, it does bring some level of negativity, and they're just not going to want it. You know what I mean? They want to maintain the image that they have. And at a place like you said, like St. John's, is kind of out of the public eye unless you're in that area. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, if you're the head coach at Indiana basketball, like, you're going to be like on Sports Center all the time. You know what I mean? You're going to be talked about. It's going to be a big deal when you get hired. Massive press conference, all that kind of stuff. So, like, that's probably why he hasn't landed a job that's really, like, visible. You know what I mean? Because clearly the guy knows basketball.
Great coach. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, like you said, has ruined his image, but he's a great coach. I mean, there's no denying that. I mean, there are a lot of great coaches that are not great people or have baggage or have done things wrong or whatever, but that doesn't mean that they're not great coaches. And people can at least respect them for their coaching anyway. But yeah, when you talk about Pitino and IU, I mean, IU wouldn't even hire Chris Beard. Not saying that Chris Beard wanted to go to IU or not, but they wouldn't even hire Chris Beard because they didn't even try, I don't even think, because of the whole scandal thing with the fiance thing. And it's like that was even, cleared, even though some people still said that the clearing was fake and that it still happened. I don't know, man. We live in an age where everything is just ridiculous at this point when it comes to news, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like some of the stuff's real, some of it ain't. I mean, anybody remember when Dak Prescott was in trouble for stuff like Deshaun Watson and then it went away? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, people get accused all the time of crap. Does it mean it happened or not? I don't freaking know. I'm not there.
I think it did happen with Deshaun Watson. Though.
Oh, Deshaun Watson, that's a different situation. I mean, like Dak's been accused. Other people have been accused. That's what I'm saying.
Like, don't get me wrong. Sometimes when there's smoke, there actually isn't fire. There isn't any fire. But when there's that much smoke, you know there was probably some level of fire. That was a lot of smoke. So, but yeah, I get what you're saying though, for sure. You don't know what to believe these days.
I gotta answer Tad Hip Hop's question in the private chat. He says, "Before I leave, here's your natty pick for college basketball." Thank you on the gonna hit you with a sub. I appreciate it. If everybody's enjoying the show, definitely subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. I don't ask a lot like some people do. I do usually at the beginning of my videos, but it's it's just like if you do, you do. If you don't, I appreciate you for watching. But if you want to subscribe, I really appreciate it. But he says, "Who's your natty pick for college basketball this year?" I'm gonna let you answer that first, Thomas. If you would like, who do you think's gonna win the natty?
Well, I don't know. It's really hard to know because I don't. I mean, I follow college basketball a good amount, but I don't like. I don't know. It's kind of my second favorite sport as opposed to college football, and the influx with the portal makes it so hard to know. Like I have to look at what happened here or there. I mean, obviously, I could say UConn or something like that, and it would probably be a pretty decent choice. But I don't know who Alabama lost. They were really good. Obviously, Florida. Usual suspects, but I don't know. I don't know. I'll say UConn just because I think it's safe. So I'll just say UConn.
Well, right now, according to the odds, which I don't think these are very current, it was like a couple months ago, but it's the best I got because I can't find anything. Purdue is the favorite. And
really?
So you got Purdue, then Houston, Duke, UConn, Florida, Kentucky. Those are the favorites. So, I mean, I'm definitely not picking Purdue.
I'm not picking Purdue either.
Because they don't win. I mean, Houston, they got great defense and all that, which Kelvin Sampson, by the way, because of what happened in Indiana, I would not want to see them win a national championship because that would just hurt. But at the same time, if he wins, he wins. I mean, I don't loathe the guy. It just sucks that he got fired at Indiana for a lot less than other people get fired for. And yeah, and he goes to Houston, and they've been great for the last 10 years while Indiana blows. It kind of sucks, but I don't really think them either. I mean, Florida again, I don't freaking know. I mean, probably UConn. We don't know. It's hard to predict that, man. It's like we don't know.
I feel like UConn's a safe choice, and I'm going to be safe. So that's why I said UConn.
Yeah, I guess preseason pre pick, I guess would be, probably UConn for me too. But that's not an endorsement on my part because, I mean, like I said, I don't think it's Purdue. I don't think it's Houston. Florida's probably going to regress. Duke, probably not. I mean, really not a lot of other options. I mean, some team's going to rise up. Maybe Bama has a great year. I mean, they usually fall apart, but.
Well, we'll get to see, like I said, we'll get to see how some of these teams look initially. I know things change a lot. You can't go on what happens in the first month. We know that because you see crazy things happen, and then you're like, well, what happened to that team? And, but we'll at least get to see some of these teams. It's always kind of weird to see because, like I said, with the portal and college basketball, like, I mean, the rosters are so small that the turnover can be insane from year to year.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I agree with that 100%. I mean, Indiana's entire team's new, to your point. It's an entirely new team. No more Woodson, no more any of that. Completely new roster, completely new coach, all that. New staff. I mean, the other thing that's interesting, too, you talk about how in college football, Ohio State beats Texas. What a win. And then Texas isn't really that good. So now people are like, wow, that's not actually that great of a win for Ohio State, which isn't necessarily fair to Ohio State because they beat Texas when everyone thought they were great. Just like with Oregon. If Oregon collapses, Indiana beat Oregon and Oregon's not good. Well, when they beat them, they were good. or people thought that, again, same thing happens in college basketball, especially with those Thanksgiving tournaments. You get like 2-3 good wins in the tournament, and you're like, oh my gosh, we got all these quad 1 wins. Oh, I love the quad 1. That's the freaking quads. It's amazing, man. You got quad 1, you're ripped, but quad 4, you got this little puny quad. I just think it's hilarious with the quads. You get a really good win, in the Thanksgiving tournament, and then by the freaking end of the year, that quad 1 win turns into a quad 4 because the team you beat ended up being crap that people thought were good. That happens all the time too. You beat somebody good in November that ends up being no good. So yeah, like you see teams in November, like they're the champions of November that end up not even making the tournament. That happens all the time.
It seems like Ohio
Remember the
State.
Kansas State run? Remember when Kansas State was trash last year? Then they won like 8 in a row. People thought they were going to make the tournament, and then they sucked again.
Yep. Unfortunately, it seems like Ohio State's the November champion like every year now. Like we always seem really good. Like, oh, things are going to be different this year. Like, look, they just beat Kentucky. They beat Kentucky. They really put it to them. And then they're losing to Rutgers. They're losing to not saying Rutgers is bad, but I've learned to stabilize my hopes when it comes to Ohio State basketball, just because fool me once. So, but we'll see.
I remember when Romeo Langford, Indiana, under Archie Miller was 12-2, and they were ranked like 20th. And then they only won 5 games the rest of the season and missed the tournament.
Ohio State did keep their probably 3 best players on the roster, though, which is good. So maybe there'll be something to build there, which I know you could say 3 best players from a team that didn't make the tournament, which is true, but still probably a good thing just for cohesion. And, hopefully they make some good additions, and some of the young kids that did stay and didn't portal out are decent. So I think that they should probably be a tournament team this year. I hope. If not, then Diebler's probably experiment's going to be over.
Yeah, probably, because Ohio State, because of the school they are, and even though they're a football school, their basketball team, they still have expectations for. And they don't do bad motto and everything. You can't suck. You saw Chris Holtman. The bucket got kicked down the road too far for him. People will be the same thing. They expect to be decent, like competitive in basketball. If you're not competitive, then you're done. I gotta answer Steven's question though here. How did you grow up in North Carolina with the legend team Smith and Jordan? Well, the thing is that again, as a kid, my first memories of sports are Alabama 2009. That was 5, and I first started watching football in 2009, where I really watched it. In 07 and 08, I was a toddler and was not really watching sports heavily. I was watching it, but mostly it's just probably running around and not really caring much. But 09, I remember 09. I was 5. I still barely remember it, but I remember it. I've gone back and watched the highlights, but I remember it like live happening, barely-ish. So Alabama 09, Hansborough bloody nose 09. So yeah, Carolina. I love freaking Carolina basketball, man. I love Carolina basketball since then. And then Cam Newton going to the NFL, Panthers stuff. Like that was like my original like sports memories fandom stuff. Now, like IU entered a lot later. Like I didn't start watching Indiana until like mid 2010s when I was older. Like I like Carolina basketball and Alabama football first. I never really watched a lot of Alabama basketball and Carolina football. Honestly, I did watch them, but I mostly watched Alabama football and Carolina basketball. I also wasn't as like, hey, I flip the channel and watch 100 different stuff like I do now to actually try to cover everything either. So like now I just kind of get taken all over the place. When I was a kid, I watched strictly basically Carolina basketball and Alabama football. It's like when basketball season came, I watched Carolina. And when football season's on, I watch Alabama. That's about it. But then I got older and it's like I started watching Alabama basketball and Carolina football because it kind of feels hypocritical not to watch the other sport of the school you like. And then I started watching Indiana later because I was like, wow, Indiana sucks. And I like them for some reason because people don't. I don't know. Again, sometimes I'm like that. I just, whatever. I thought the amount of flack that their basketball team got and the amount of hate that their football team got for being bad was hilarious. And I was just like, yeah, I just hope this team doesn't suck. And it was funny rooting for them when they sucked for 8 years. And then now they win in football. So I don't know. It's just weird. But yeah, I mean, I like Carolina basketball a lot longer than I like Indiana. And I mean, I still love Carolina. It just really hasn't been a lot to talk about with Carolina. Carolina basketball is still good, but they're not great. I still watch them every time they play. There really hasn't much to say. I mean, Hubert's not really like about to get fired or anything. They're just kind of there. And then Carolina football, Belichick. There's only so much you can say about Belichick and Hudson that hasn't already been said. So, I mean, wow, the last 2 weeks they should have won and didn't. That's kind of cool. I mean, I like Carolina. I mean, I live in Carolina. I love Carolina basketball, but I mean, they're just unfortunately not as interesting as they used to be. But that doesn't mean that I don't like them anymore. It's just it's just not a lot to say about them. I mean, when I get back to basketball season, I'll talk about them more. But
Yeah. You felt bad for Indiana. My mom always says that every year. I think I told you guys that before. Whenever we were playing Indiana, they're like, "Oh, poor Indiana." Like,
yeah, I think I took it a step further though than most people, where instead of just feeling bad for them, I just started liking them. It's kind of weird.
They're like that like sad puppy that you find in an alley or something, and you're like, you want to take it home. Like,
yeah, I mean, really, if you really think of it that way, it's kind of is exactly how it is. I mean, that's exactly how it is. I don't know. I mean, I don't even exactly remember the first time I started watching. It's been like 10 years now, but I just started watching them. I mean, they were always like Indiana basketball was always talked about because of Knight and the chair and stuff and the Watford for the win. It's like that's it. Like, and then Indiana football, man. I mean, I turned them. I remember. I think my first really legitimate memory of IU football was that Duke bowl game. They got screwed on the field goal. And I mean, I'm a Carolina fan. I don't hate Duke, but it's almost psychological. It's like this sequence of events. Yeah, you got I like Carolina. Like I'm watching IU play Duke in this bowl game, pinstripe bowl, I think. And freaking Indiana kicks this field goal to tie the game up in overtime, and he got the field goal, but they said it went over the uprights, and they said it didn't count. And I remember sitting there, and I was watching the game with somebody too. I don't even remember who it was, but I was watching the game with somebody, and might have been a neighbor. I don't freaking know. All I know is the other guy was pulling for Duke, and because he picked Duke, I was like, I'll go IU. We used to watch games, and then we would just pick the odds. And I said that IU was going to win. IU got screwed out of that game. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, this is ridiculous. Yeah, just crappy old IU, man. Like, just they suck. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like more people secretly like a team that's no good, but they don't want to admit it. I mean, like how John Garner likes Ohio State, but he likes Cincinnati, which Cincinnati's not horrible. But, I feel like a lot of people do like another team, but people just have their fandom. Like, I could just lean all into Alabama and just call it a day. I wouldn't even have to try. I could just roll Tide roll and that's it. I never even had to mention that I like Carolina or Indiana or anything. You could just call it a day. It wouldn't even be hard. But
WV too. I've always liked the Mountaineers. Yeah. I don't know why. I just kind of like them, but I don't know. When it comes to it with me being an Ohio State football fan, like I've never. There's only like really a couple teams that I hate. Like I hate the teams that like robbed us or like, not necessarily robbed us in the way that I'm saying like, oh, it's some injustice, but like teams that took titles away. You know what I mean? So, which don't get me started on the Georgia thing in that one year, because I think that was bogus. But like, I don't know. I don't like certain fan bases too, which adds to it. But like a lot of Ohio State fans, like all of a sudden like trashing Indiana and like I don't know. I just don't feel it. like I said, because like I've literally never. I don't have a memory of Indiana beating Ohio State. Like I know it happened when I was alive, but like it was before I was like really paying attention, I guess, because I don't remember that game. Or maybe have some kind of memory of like my dad throwing like something at a TV or something, but like I don't know. Like it wasn't...
Indiana can have that reaction, you know, throwing stuff at the TV if you don't beat it. I'm sure an Oregon fan probably did it, but you know.
But at any rate, I don't get that. So like I don't necessarily always like look at a team that's like kind of down on their luck or whatever and like feel necessarily sorry for them, because like I said, that's like my mom's mentality when she's saying that about Indiana or Northwestern, like watching it for 30 years and like, who are they playing this week? Oh, the score's 50-4 or 50-6 or, you know, whatever the score is. And it's like, I don't necessarily, because I always have to tell her like, it's competitive. It's sports. You know what I mean? Like literally like feeling bad for them. And I get it, because you're watching the kids and, you know, especially a long time ago when they didn't get any compensation or whatever, you know, like, yeah, it's kind of sad, but at the same time, like, I'm not gonna, like, I'm watching it because I want my team to win. You know what I mean? So like, I never really felt that, but at the same time, now when I go to think of Indiana, like, I can't just like all of a sudden, like Indiana basketball, sure, because they beat Ohio State numerous times, like big games, all that kind of stuff. But like when it comes to Indiana football, until they like take a championship away, like Michigan does, or Georgia or Alabama has, like, you know, win a national title game against us or knock us out of the playoff or whatever, like I'm not going to feel that way. So like to me right now, watching Indiana, it's a feel-good story. I'm sorry it is. Sorry any other Buckeye fans that are watching, but that's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable. I mean, like, totally. Like, if Indiana plays Ohio State this year in the Big Ten championship game and Indiana wins, yeah, I mean, I can definitely understand why you'd be frustrated. He's like, oh my gosh, Indiana actually beat us. Now they're on the list. They stink. You know, I get it. They've never done it before, so it's like there's no reason to not like them because they haven't hurt Ohio State in any way.
As a fan, that's
an absolutely fair way to look at it.
As a fan, that's the way that I would feel, like that I don't feel threatened. But even at the case, like, as long as it's not, I still, like, because most people will say this, and I am the same way too. Like, I will not root for Michigan. Like, if Indiana beat Ohio State and knocked us out of the playoffs this year and then went on and advanced to the national title game, I would be rooting for Indiana. Like, I can guarantee you I wouldn't be, like, bitter, like, oh, they beat us, I want them to lose. Like, if it was Michigan, of course, like, lose. Because, like, it's a lifetime of, I mean, obviously not in the middle portion of my sports watching, but, like, from when I was a kid and now recently, again, like, the losses, like, it's, like, PTSD from that crap. But, like, with Indiana, I would absolutely be rooting for them. I could 100% say that. My psyche would not change. I would still be like, yeah, they beat us. That sucks. But, like, I would root for them. I would root for them to win afterwards. Like, I would. I already know it. I would be happy if they won. So, I wouldn't be as happy as if Ohio State won, but I would still be very, very happy.
Absolutely. I mean, like, my favorite team's Alabama and always will. I mean, I've grown up loving Alabama football since I was a toddler, and it always will be that way. People ask me would I root for Indiana against Alabama. I mean, the issue with that statement is that I would think it would be more cool if Indiana won.
Right.
Because Indiana's never done it before. But I can't say that I want Alabama to lose that game either, because that's just blasphemous. Like, be a fan of a team from 3 years old and want them to lose a game. That's not feasible. Okay, I don't want Alabama to lose to Indiana But if Indiana won, I would think it would be more cool. That is how I feel about that. If Indiana beat Alabama, I would be more like, if I came on the show, my channel or the Alabama channel, I honestly would be more amped and excited about Indiana winning the game based off the fact that they've never done it before than if Alabama beat Indiana. I would be thrilled Alabama beat Indiana because I love Alabama, but it's not as exciting as a result. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can say the same thing about Vandy beating Alabama. It's just I don't like Vandy like I like Indiana, though. That's the difference.
Right.
But Vandy beat Alabama last year. I said it was cool. I didn't like it, but I said it was cool because it's like, wow, Vandy sucks, and they haven't beaten Alabama in 40 years. That's incredible. Like, tip the cap, Didn't like it, but with Indiana, it would be a little less of that feeling because I do like Indiana a lot. But if Indiana won the game, I would be like, darn, that's freaking awesome.
You've been dedicated to watching them, so it would almost be a conflict of your original fandom versus something that you've grown to love, and also like what you think would be a better story. And like for the story thing, like if I objectively remove myself from, like, I know you can't be objective as a sports fan, but like, I mean, I would say the same thing. Like, I would say the same thing if Indiana was to win a national title this year. Do I think that it would be like a better story? Like, if I was just reading a story, of course. Like, it would be like, Ohio State's Goliath. Let's be real. Like, they are. Like, other than Alabama, they're the greatest program in the history of the sport. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. So, like, like seeing Indiana win a title is like, it's like fairy tale. You know what I mean? It sounds crazy because it's all millions of dollars and everything that it is right now. It wouldn't be the same as if it happened in like 1975 or even 1995, but like it still would be a really cool story. You know what I mean? It definitely would.
For sure. I mean, I root for underdogs a lot anyway. Like TCU, I was rooting for TCU against Georgia, even though I knew they had absolutely zero chance to win. I wanted them to win. I rooted for Washington against Michigan. Obviously, I like Penix. I had, a reason. But, I was rooting for Washington against Michigan. And I even picked Washington against Michigan because I thought they had a chance, even though realistically I was like, yeah, Michigan's better. But Washington had a chance, and they lost. But, I mean, yeah, typically root for underdogs more often than not in games that I care less about the result. Again, with Indiana, Alabama, I cannot root against Alabama. That's just, I don't want to see the game, honestly. I don't want to see it happen. I don't want Alabama and Indiana to play in the playoffs. I don't. I would prefer not to see it. I would prefer any scenario where they don't play.
I want to see it.
Playoffs or Alabama lost in the playoffs and they don't play, that's fine. I mean, again, it's a complicated thing. I would rather Alabama probably win a national title than Indiana just because I'm an Alabama fan from birth. But if Indiana won, I think it would be cool because, again, I've seen Alabama win 6 national championships or 7 or whatever in my life. It's a different situation. It's a complicated situation, and then a lot of people don't have because, again, most people just like one team. I don't know. It is what it is. I like Alabama. They're my favorite team. And them winning a national championship is always going to make me feel good. It does. It's amazing. It's a great feeling when your team wins. But I don't know. It is what it is. I just hope they don't play. I don't want them to play.
Yeah, because it's at the core of your being. Like we're talking about before. Like it's something you can't escape from. So that's kind of what I was saying before. Like I think it would be an awesome story, and like I said, like I'm rooting for Indiana. Like I want to see them succeed. But like the moment that they play Ohio State, it's like a switch will be turned in my brain. It's like there's no possible way that I could not but like be distraught if Ohio State lost. Like regardless of it, like nothing would matter. Like it's some kind of bizarre thing, and the psyche of a diehard sports fan, like you can't turn that off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like even though you do like Indiana and you've been following them and you've dedicated like some of what you're doing, like with the fan channel and whatnot, like you
Yeah.
still won't be able to turn that off. You'll still be like, Alabama's got to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. I mean, you're right. It sucks that it is that way, but it is that way. I mean, you can't just not. Yeah, you can't root for your favorite team to lose. It's just not possible. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people that only know me as the Indiana guy. You know, I mean, that's the thing. Like, especially in the Voice of College Football community, it was a hilarious thing for a long time. Like, a lot of them didn't even know I was an Alabama fan at all. I mean, when I first called into Mark 3+ years ago, I told him that I was an Alabama fan. It's when he didn't even have the StreamYard. He had the phone line. I called on the phone line, and I said I'm an Alabama fan, and you know, but I told him, I said, you've had like 10 people already talk about Alabama tonight, so I'll talk about Indiana. I like IU. You know, they're no good. You know, I like rooting for them even though they're trash. And I started asking him Tom Allen questions and stuff, and he was just like, who is this guy? He's like, who is this guy talking about Indiana? It was so funny. And then when I started calling in when he got the StreamYard, then like I talked about Indiana more, because by the time I got on the show, already 10 people had asked all the Bama questions I'd asked. So it was like no sense in rehash, because I can't say I can't stand it, but you know how when you watch a show, like a call-in show, and then people ask the same question? Like Mark would have like 10 people already ask about Alabama and Saban and this and all that. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'll just ask them my Indiana questions. Or I'd ask Carolina or some other team. It wouldn't even matter. So people just thought that I was like, well, hey, this dude's an Indiana fan. They thought I lived in Indiana. I'm like, I don't even live in Indiana. I live in Carolina. Like, I'm a Carolina basketball, Alabama football fan that happens to like Indiana. That's what I talk about, like, on here. Like it was so funny. So, you know, when I started telling people I'm an Alabama fan, they're like, oh, Jeffrey's a bandwagon fan. I'm like, no, you got it all wrong. I've been an Alabama fan since 2007. I've been an IU fan since like 2016, 2015, whatever. It's like, I don't know, man. It was a funny thing that happened with that. Like, I'm still known around a lot of parts on the internet as the IU guy. I'm not like that. I mean, I think that's kind of dropped a lot because I'm on the Alabama channel permanently. So it's kind of like, okay, they understand it now. But it was the funniest thing for the longest time that I was the Indiana guy. I was not an Alabama fan, even though I'm an Alabama fan. I mean, I'm not a bandwagon fan either. Like, most of my relatives are Alabama fans. Like, it runs deep through generations. I just don't live in the state. I've got a ton of ancestors that live in the state, people that still live in the state. I was just born in North Carolina and still live in North Carolina. But, you know, you don't have to be born and raised in a state to like a team. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, man, my first memory of football is Alabama. Like, you know what I mean? It's just,
yeah, of course.
You're born what you're born into. I mean, there could be a whole other scenario where if I was on the opposite side of the family, there's some Tennessee fans. I have a few Tennessee fans in my family because they're from Tennessee. Big family. If I was on the opposite side of the family, I'd be a Tennessee fan. Thank God I'm not. But
I bet you that's a dangerous. I bet you that's dangerous to have alcohol at that family reunion.
Yeah, I mean, there's been gatherings where all of them are there. I've been there, and there are the few Tennessee ones. They can't stand Bama, but I mean, they try to be cordial. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it is what it is. People have big families. I was lucky to be on the Alabama side of it. Thank goodness.
That's funny.
Avoid all the chaos because I live in a completely different state.
That's funny.
I don't know. It's crazy how life happens. I think it's great. I don't know. I'm not a bandwagon though. Like, it's not like I was just suddenly like, oh, I was born and raised in Carmel, Indiana, and I've been an Indiana fan since birth. But in 2015, I became an Alabama fan because I was tired of Indiana losing. No. Like that's not how that worked. You got it all wrong. It was backwards. I'm an Alabama fan first that I like Carolina again because I live in the state. Yeah, I mean, I'm the only one in my family that likes Carolina. My other relatives don't like Carolina. Every time I talk about the Tar Heels, they're like, screw them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't care. They're SEC all the way. I mean, it's blasphemous for me to even, because I all my relatives are SEC people. You know what I'm saying? Like Carolina's ACC, they're nothing.
You've got
the Indiana thing. They just think I'm a weirdo at that point.
Yeah, they probably think the Indiana thing's kind of strange, but hey, that's not.
I don't know. Again, everybody's different, man.
And also the thing is though is that like don't get me wrong, like sometimes bandwagon fans are irritating when it's like you're from this place and you literally just like the New York Yankees because like you watched them win like 3 titles in a row and you're like, I'm a Yankees fan. It's like you live in Atlanta. What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? But like you just all of a sudden, like I guess you could call that being a bandwagon fan, but like it's actually kind of the opposite of being a band, because usually the bandwagon fan is like, oh, jump on the bandwagon. You know what I mean? Like they're good, they're great. You know what I mean? But you with Indiana, it's like, well, like no, it's more of like I don't even know what you would describe it as. Like it's the opposite at any rate. So like I think that's kind of cool actually. Like people can like the teams that they want to like, you know what I mean? But like the bandwagon fan, the we call them Walmart Wolverines, the people in Ohio that like Michigan because they're like, well I'm sure they exist other places too, but they're like abundant around here. And like they all like crawled back under their rocks for like 15 years. Like when I was a kid, they were all over the place. They were like they were popping out at you. They were like hopping down out of trees. They were, they were just everywhere. The Walmart Wolverines, they were everywhere. But then they all went into hiding because they got beat so many times in a row. But now they're like they've reemerged again. It's like what is it, like those cicadas or whatever that only come out like every 15 years.
Yep, the cicadas, cicadas. I pronounce things differently than some people, and they'll let me know about that. Like, oh, pecan, what's pecan? Okay, cicadas, cicadas. I don't know. It's something, but I know what you're talking about.
But they're terrible, and they're a different type of bandwagon fan. So there's all different types, and they're actually like. They just want to be different, but what they don't realize is that like they want to think that like, oh, I don't like Ohio State because around here it's like it's insane, you know what I mean? Like the people that are like in Columbus and really a lot of the state, but like directly like surrounding Columbus, like the culture of Ohio State football is just insane. Like it's everywhere. People are talking about it. It's like life, you know what I mean? And like so like they look at it a lot of the times and they're like, oh, I just want to be different. And they don't realize like they put themselves into a different category that's like the same as like everybody who's trying to be different. You know what I mean? Like if some of them were like, I want to be different, and they chose to like watch Northwestern, root for Indiana or whoever, Wake Forest, I don't care who it is, then I'd be like, I respect that. You know what I mean? But their whole thing in reality is like they want to be different, but what they don't realize is that they're different in the same way that every other person that wants to be different is different. So you're actually not different. Like, what did you accomplish? What the hell did you accomplish?
Nothing. I mean, it's hilarious. Like what you just said is so freaking true. It's unreal. I mean, I'm in a weird situation anyway, because obviously my state, North Carolina, basketball side of things, most are North Carolina fans. You have Duke fans, but a lot of the Duke fans are out of state because they come from Jersey and other places. There are Duke fans in the state of North Carolina, but it's heavily North Carolina. But when it goes to football, yeah, there are Bama fans in the state, Georgia fans in the state, Buckeyes in the state, Notre Dame fans in the state, Michigan fans in the state, Penn State fans, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee. I don't think I can keep boring y'all to death with all the names. Texas. But there's North Carolina is like a melting pot of football fans. And I'm sure every state's like that, but I see it all over. I see Auburn. They're everywhere. I'm like, why is there an Auburn fan? And you'd be like, well, it's an Alabama license plate. They're just visiting. It's Carolina license plate.
Well, there's probably partially an explanation in North Carolina because like I was saying earlier about the population boom in that state.
People
so
moving.
a lot of the people are transplants. Like you see a decent amount of that in Columbus too, because the city grew so much. But not as much, but I'm sure. Like, I think North Carolina's the fastest growing state, if I'm correct. So, like, that's
Basically,
probably
yeah.
that level of, if not the fastest, one of the fastest, and so the level of that transplant is probably pretty high. You know what I mean?
Heck, I'm a transplant.
So you're probably seeing a lot of that, and also once again, like how you root for Alabama because your dad or whoever did, and they took you where you're at. Like sometimes that stuff lasts for generations. You know, like my brother lives in Virginia, well, close close to DC, and you know he still has his Buckeye flags and all that stuff, and any kids that, you know, generations, he's going to try to keep it going. Like whether they stay in Virginia or wherever they might go, like it's going to, you know, it's a thing. So he's like one of those people that you see in North Carolina, like, oh, there's an Ohio State fan. It's like, yeah, he's actually born in Columbus, Ohio, you know, and like 1-2 generations might pass and the person's still like a fan of them. You know what I mean? So pretty cool.
For sure. It's interesting. I mean, it's crazy. I love this one from Stephen Cherry. He says, ironically, majority of my channel is supported by Buckeyes. That's not wrong. And I'm perfectly okay with that. I appreciate it. I mean, I don't care what fans support my channel because my channel is not, you know, it's kind of bled over a little bit, but used to, like, if you go back and watch my old stuff, I really tried to keep the bias out. Like, for the longest time, the people on my channel didn't even know the teams I liked at all because of the fact I never even said it. I just talked about the games. No one even knew I liked Alabama or Indiana on my channel at all. And it's not in my bio or anything. You know, it's not like in my channel description. Oh, I'm an Alabama fan. I'm an Indiana fan. No, I'm not. I don't write that stuff. Like, it's just I talk college basketball. I talk college football. When I started calling into Mark more often, and I started talking about who I liked. And then, you know, because he asked and he wanted to know all that kind of stuff. And then I started, you know, doing the Alabama channel at the Voice of College Football. It's kind of bled over. And then so people know me from there. So then it comes over here and then I address it. So then I talk about it. And then other people fight. It's just kind of like it was a chain reaction because I kind of tried. I was neutral on here. My channel was supposed to be neutral. I'm just talking about sports. I'm not giving my fandom to people. I'm giving them, you know, how I feel about the teams and the stats and all this kind of stuff. It kind of has changed to now it's just we screw around and we talk about all of our teams, kind of like what Mark does with stats focus. And it's great. I'm okay with that. But I think it's awesome that you guys are here because, I mean, that's why I talk about Indiana so much because if I had more SEC people in here, then I'd be talking about Bama more, but y'all are here. So it's like Ohio State, Indiana. It gets brought up by default.
There's certain fan bases that anytime you start a college football channel and you like gain any traction, like you're gonna have certain fan bases that are going to be represented in like the people that are viewing you if you do a broad base of what you're going to talk about. So like you're always going to end up with Ohio State fans, Alabama fans, Michigan fans, Notre Dame fans, like, you know, the usuals. But one thing that I find odd is that we see a couple Texas fans. We don't usually see very many Oklahoma fans, and you'd expect to see more of them. So, you know, we see a lot of USC fans. It's weird how like certain fan bases that you would expect to see like tons of, we don't really see that many of them. You ever think about that?
Sometimes I do, yes, because I mean it makes it feel like, oh, their fan base isn't actually as big as it seems. But then you see the games and they're there, and then you see, you know, like their forums and their, you know, like channels that are dedicated to them, you know, and they're there, you know, like Oklahoma. Like Oklahoma's got a big fan base, but like I don't ever see him. I got like one fan that consistently like shows up. Rough Rider Returns. He's an Oklahoma fan, but my channel is bizarre because I don't have a base of anything. Honestly, it's just a bunch of people that randomly found me either through the Voice of College Football or whatever and started watching me. I mean, I have a couple Indiana fans that show up because they know I like Indiana and will talk good about them. Appreciate you guys. And I've got a couple Alabama fans from the Bama channel and Mark Rogers and stuff. You guys, the Ohio State guys, I mention y'all all the time. Hummus, Steven, Troy, you know, Caden for, better for worse, like, but I mean, and like, sometimes I get like John De'Adam, Michigan. I mean, like, I don't really have like a dedicated anything. Like, you guys probably are the biggest contingency. I probably have a lot of viewers of other fan bases that probably have never commented in my life or in their life, like, because like the amount of views that my videos get, the amount of subs I have, which again, appreciate everybody who has sub. If you guys like the content, definitely appreciate it if you check it out. Want to sub all stuff. But I mean, again, like, I know there are more people out there than in this chat that comment, but like, you guys are consistently vocal. You know what I'm saying? So it seems like you guys are like the dominant one. I probably have there's probably Utah fans that watch. I just don't know because they've never commented before.
Yeah, there's probably
I still appreciate them too, but you guys are always here and you guys are always commenting. I appreciate that.
There's maybe something to like a cultural aspect to like what we're talking about, where like certain like because we think of the United States as like one solid place, but it's not. And like maybe it actually gets down to culture, and like maybe the people from Oklahoma, they're just less likely to chop it up with people from other areas or something like that. So you just don't see them as much. But if you go to Oklahoma channel, it's like, oh my goodness, there's so many of them, because we know it's a massive fan base, a huge dedicated fan base, but you just don't see them. So like maybe there's something about like Ohio State in general, and obviously it is probably the largest fan base, so it's not shocking that it would be the largest that you would have. But at any rate, like maybe like certain groups of people from certain parts of the country, and also maybe how good your team is like consistently too, would play a part in it, I guess, is how likely you are to go other places and like mix with other people more. So like maybe something just about Ohio State fans, we want to be everywhere. You know what I mean? So like you see it like just everywhere, and like maybe some fan bases just don't do it as much, So
that's a great point, Hummus, because I mean, if your team's bad, here's what happens. This is what happens when your team is bad. Unless you're like Clint Moses, who's an Oregon State fan, and I appreciate Clint Moses. He's awesome. You remember Connor Johnson, probably from the Voice of College Football too, the Oregon State guys. Yeah, they're so bad right now that everyone feels bad for them, like Indiana used to. So it's like that's different. But the thing is that the problem with college football discourse is that if you are a fan of a team that is bad and you talk about your team, then what do people say? Oh, your team sucks. You have no room to talk in this fight. It's like, just because your team's bad doesn't mean you're not allowed to voice opinions, man. Like, I literally have told people this. It almost seems like people that are a fan of a good team think that they're superior to someone that's a fan of a team that isn't as good. Like, that means zilch, man. You're not the one on the freaking field. You're not doing anything. You're just a fan. I'm Caden, I love Caden to death. He's hilarious. But like Caden, like, oh, sit down, Rutgers fan. You don't know football. Rutgers fan. It's like, dude, he's from Jersey. He likes Rutgers, man. He probably went to school there. Like, dude, it doesn't mean that you're like 8 billion times more knowledgeable about football than that guy. Okay? Like, that doesn't matter.
That's ridiculous.
Talk.
That's ridiculous. Now, the one thing I will say, and this is not what you're describing, that's just like, average Joe fan. But like when a fan of a team and they're like delusional in their fandom, so like it's like a Wake Forest fan, which once again we never even seen one of those, but let's just say hypothetically we saw a Wake Forest fan and they were like, oh, we're so great, no, we're way better than you, this, that, and then like they're asserting themselves like in an area where they don't need to be, then maybe you could like go ahead and put them in their place. But that's not typically the case. It's usually like what you're describing, and like the shoe's usually on the other foot, and it's like an Ohio State fan or a Michigan fan or an Alabama fan, and they're telling everybody, oh, you're terrible. Like, no, your team wouldn't last. You'd be 0-9 in the SEC, and you don't know anything. Like, you don't know ball. Like, you don't know ball.
It just makes me laugh. Like, I don't think the team that you root for determines whether you know ball or not, because I know a lot of fans of the big teams like Bama and Ohio State and Michigan and Georgia that don't know ball. Like, I mean, they don't know ball, but they're a fan of a good team. So it's like, wow, they can talk smack. Cool. It doesn't mean that you know ball. It's just funny to me. I mean, I think if somebody's like a Rutgers fan and they're giving their thoughts on like Alabama, like if there's a Rutgers fan that says, hey, I don't think Alabama's as good this year, I don't see anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, Rutgers sucks. Well, go back in your corner, Rutgers. You suck. No. It's like he knows his team sucks, but he's offering his analysis on another team.
Exactly.
That's not the same thing. Like my analysis, I'm an Alabama fan, but I give my analysis on Utah. I give my analysis on Washington. That's completely separate from Alabama.
Yep. As long as the Rutgers fan isn't being delusional and telling you that Rutgers would beat Alabama and Alabama wouldn't, Alabama would be 0-9 in the Big Ten, like then like that's all fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like they can tell you what they think about everybody else. It's fine. Like the moment that they step into the delusion, then like they're fair game. You know what I mean? But like until they exhibit that behavior, then like you should back off of them, and you should be happy to have them around, because like, the more the merrier, and like variety is the spice of life. Whatever you want to throw out there like that, that's like the way that I would look at it. So I think it's great. But hey, Jeffrey, it's getting super late, man. So
I did it again. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good. I'm the one who keeps talking. So
I know it's both of our faults. Like I know I could just be like, hey, Hummus, I gotta get some sleep, which I do, and you probably do too. But I'm having fun, and I appreciate it, Hummus. I appreciate you for coming on. It was a lot of fun. Maybe do it next Saturday, like always. It's great.
Absolutely. It's a great conversation. We even talk a little bit about college basketball, which is coming up, which is good. So
looking forward to college basketball. It's right around the corner. And I've had people tell me to start doing streams again. Hopefully I'll do some college basketball NBA streams soon. I've got to find time, but hopefully I can. It's a bunch of fun doing those. But I appreciate it, Hummus. I hope you have a great night. Thanks for calling in, and I'm glad we had this great conversation. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Jeffrey. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Hummus. You have a great night. And thanks everybody out there for tuning in to tonight's show. That went a lot longer than I was planning on, but honestly, again, it doesn't matter. If it goes 3 hours, if it goes an hour, 5 hours, I kind of pull the plug on that because it's getting late. It's way too late. But again, I have fun doing this. You guys are amazing. Without you guys, it would not be anywhere near as amazing. And I'm not faking those words. I mean it. Because again, you guys are the reason that, I'm here. You guys are the reason I do this show. Like everybody else, like you didn't have an audience. Everyone that makes content needs viewers. They need an audience. They need people that like enjoying watching your content, give you a reason to do it. I enjoy doing this. I started it with 0 subs like everybody else, and I had no viewers at all. And I still like doing it, but it doesn't make it what it is without you guys. And that's why I appreciate you guys so much. And seeing new faces. I love seeing new faces. Like that guy earlier, that 17 guy that called me a hick. I thought that, like, you know what? Let's just start going back and forth with that guy. And he was cool. At the end of it, he was like the show. And I'm like, thanks. I appreciate it. Like, I just have fun having the discourse with you guys. You guys are awesome. I appreciate it. But like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Share the stream out on social media. I will be back soon. We hit the goal as well. Thank you, Caden, the Diesel Freak. Ed Jackson Johnson for the super chats. Appreciate you guys always more than you will ever know. I will be live again, hopefully with Will and D again to do our picks for week 10 of the college ball season. I can't believe we're getting that far. It's amazing. The college ball season is flying by. So hopefully, we'll be back for that, whether on Monday night or Tuesday night. We'll try to figure it out. And hopefully I'll be back next Saturday for a college ball recap for week 10. So definitely, Jeffrey, good show. Don't make me rant next week. I will try not to, Steven. Thanks for being here as always. And keeping my delusional takes in line. Everybody's got delusional takes. We get a little crazy, but I appreciate it, Steven, and definitely hope to see you next week or next show. Appreciate it a lot. But I hope everybody has a great night. What a great week of college football. Go IU, go Alabama, go Carolina. Yeah. But roll tide, roll baby. I hope everybody has a great night, and I will see you guys soon.